is Facebooking. All right. What do we have in store for ourselves? Quite a bit of fun. Time to pause. Let's do the intro. Are you ready?
Welcome to the 9dNation.
בראשית ברא אלוהים את השמיים ואת הארץ.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Thousands of years later, it was Wednesday at 11 p.m. Central. Get your passport ready and be prepared to declare to the customs agents any edible plants or miscellaneous worldviews. You're now crossing into the nation with no denomination.
Welcome to the 9dNation. The nation with no denomination. This is episode 40. What is 9dNation? It's season 2 of episode 40. A Bible reading, essentially. Part 1 and part 2 in 30 minutes. Panel discussion of. Usually we these days do touch on the topic of the reading at the beginning, and then we just go anywhere we want. So we'll see if that happens. That probably will happen. I'm going to read all of Genesis 15, grind through all the words, all the everything, and it's going to take a good 35 minutes. So it's going to go over time already. So I'm going to kind of get started right away. Michael Myers, yes, we miss you, Leonard. Beautiful sticker. And what a blessing that we had in the Foxhole family to have had the time that we did with Leonard and the shit show. And Black Yoda, thanks for the cookie. Let's play the cookie animation. Here's the cookie animation. Let's do it. Here we go.
Looky, looky, here comes Cookie, walking down the street. Looky, looky, I call him Cookie, 'cause he's sweet. Ooh, look.
All right. So our story so far is coming from Genesis 1:1 all the way through to 14:24. And to over summarize, here's what we've carried forward from the last 40 weeks. No human angel half-breeds. No murder, no blood drinking. You could say those are the rules that we've picked up so far. 3 bloodlines: Japheth, Greek; Hamites, Philistines, Canaanites, Assyrians; Shemites, not limited to, but including Lot and the mighty pious Uncle Abram. So let me read you chapter 15. It's a big bite to chew today. We're going to do it. All right. Genesis 15. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision, saying, "Do not fear, Abram, I am a shield to you. Your reward will be great, very great, shall be very great." Abram said, "O Lord God, what will you give me, since I am childless, and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus?" And Abram said, "Since you've given no offspring to me, one born in my house is my heir." Then behold, the word of the Lord came to him, saying, "This man will not be your heir, but one who will come forth from your own body, he shall be your heir." And he took him outside and said, "Now look toward the heaven and count the stars, if you are able to count them." He said to him, "So shall your descendants be." Then he believed in the Lord, and he reckoned it to him as righteousness. And he said to him, "I'm the Lord who brought you out of Ur of Chaldeans to give you this land to possess it." He said, "O Lord God, how may I know that I will possess it?" So he said to him, "Bring me a 3-year-old heifer and a 3-year-old female goat and a 3-year-old ram and a turtle dove and a young pigeon." Then he brought all these things to him and cut them in two and laid them each half opposite the other. But he did not cut the birds. The birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and behold, terror and great darkness fell upon him. God said to Abram, "Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, where they will be enslaved and oppressed 400 years. But I will also judge the nation whom they will serve, and afterward they will come out with many possessions. As for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You will be buried at a good old age. Then in the 4th generation they will return here, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet complete." It came about when the sun had set that it was very dark, and behold, there appeared a smoking oven and a flaming torch, which passed between these pieces. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, "To your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt as far as the great river, the river Euphrates." That's a huge chunk of land. "The Kenite and the Kenizzite and the Cadmonite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Rephaim and the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Girgashite and the Jebusite." Now, there is a lot that I need to read to you in what I call Hebrew, but it's probably like Pigeon Hebrew. It's like gibberish from a dude pretending to read Hebrew. But let me do it anyway. You'll enjoy it. You'll laugh at me. We'll laugh. We'll cry. All right, so this is Genesis 15. Let me catch up with the chat before I launch off on this gigantic long reading thing deal that I'm going to do. All right, I'll read 1 through 4, and then I'll scroll. Let me catch up with the chat here. Hangton Alien Surfer, the memorial is February 18th. February 18th. The iniquity of the Amorite. Yeah, you know what's funny, Duffy, is in the last chapter, the Amorites were very nice and allied with Abram. So, who knows what's going on here. All right. Achar hadavarim ha'ela haya devar haya el Avraim b'machaze lemor al tira Avraim anochi magen lach sacharecha harbe meod. Vayomer Avram Adonai ahaya matiten li ve'anochi holech ariri ovein meshek bitu hu damesek el Eliezer. Vayomer Avram hin lilo natata zara vehine vin biti horesh oti vehine devar ahaya belo lemor lo yerashecha zeki im asher yetze mime echa hu yerashecha. Let me scroll down. Amoral from Amor. Oh, that's a good catch. That's hilarious. Could be. All right, I'll read down through 9 and then scroll again. I'm reading from my own notes of pronunciation because I struggle to just read it from there. Vayotzi oto hachutza vayomer habet na hashemaya usefor hakuvachayivim im tuchal lispor otam vayomer loko yiye zarecha. Vehimen ahaya vayach shevaha lo tzedaka vayomer belo ani ahaya asher hot seticha meur kazdim latet lecha et haaretz hazot lerishta vayomer Adonai ahaya bama ada ki irashina vayomer elau. I wrote some bad notes there. Vayomer elo. No, it is that. Kacha le egla meshulashet ve'etz meshulashet ve'ayal meshulash vetor vegozal. Right? Now let's read 10 and 11. Vayaka lo et kol ele vivatar otam batavech vayitin ish bitro likrat re'ehu ve'et hatzipor lo vatar vayared ha'ayit el hapagarim vayeshev otam avram. All right, let's scroll down. We'll read 12 through 15 and then scroll. We're a little over halfway done. Vehi Hashemish Lavo Vaterdema Nafela al Avram Vihine Ema Chashecha Gedola Nofelet Alau Vayomer Lavram Yahu Teka Ki Ger Yige Zaracha Be'eretz Lo Lahim Vea Vodum Vaenu Otam Arba Meot Shana Vegam et Hago Asher Yavodu Dan Anochi Ve'achare Ken Hetzeu Birchush Gadol. That last word is great. Gadol. Let's read 16 through 19, or 15 through 19. Ve'atatavo el avotecha beshalom tikaver baseva tsova vendor revi yeshavu. That can't be vendor. Let me read that. 16. Udur. Yeah. Autocorrect. Revi Yeshavu Hena Kilo Shalem Avon Haemori Ad Hena Vehi Hasheme Ba'a. Wow, I messed that up. Bayom Yahu Karat Ahaya et Avram Berit Lemor Lezaracha Natati et Haaretz Hazot Meana Har Mitzrayim El Hanahar Hagadol Nehar Parat et Hakani Ve'et Hakanitze Ve'et Hakadmoni. I think I skipped part of 17. I said Vehi Hasheme Ba'a. Vehi Hasheme Ba'a. Uote Ee Uene Thinur Ocean. Yeah, I left that part out. Sorry. 2 more verses, and then I'll check the chat. Ve'et hach. Oh, let me roll, scroll down. Here we go. Ve'et hachiti, ve'et haperisi, ve'et harafaim, ve'et haomore, ve'et hakanaani, ve'et hagirgashi, ve'et havusi. Now, we can dig through this whole long chapter. Got 25 minutes to do it in. Somehow going to get it done. Let me check the chat, though. Oh, nice. There's the Zelle link. Let me capture that and jot that down. Somebody texted me, I think, actually, that may be the exact same text I got. Let me check real quick. Pretending to be Hebrew. Yes, I am. Impeach them all. I'm just trying to learn the Hebrew because it helps to. If I don't read it, I won't learn it as a word. Like haaretz, gadol. It's cool to hear the original words because then, oh, hang on. Where's the repeat on play? Impeach them all. I don't think I'm doing this. Hopefully I'm not doing this to try to become something that I'm not. We're all got a mix of all kind of bloodlines in us. It's just the Bible's written in Hebrew. And I want to read these words in some way close to what they were written in, as close as I can get. I don't know how many Impeach them all. Do you come to the Wednesday night shows much? What we're trying to do, what I've been trying to do during the reading part is dig through the word tokens, and 99.9% of the time I land where all the translators do, but every now and then I'm like, why did they say that? And we kind of dig through that a little bit so that when we get our story so far, it's what the last 40 weeks have brought reading through this, so I can just carry it forward. I don't know if that made any sense. But hopefully no pretense. Feel free to. I'm glad you called me out on that, though. No, I got a whole different thing. I got a meal train link and now this. So let me add this. Bear with me. I got to put this in my info or I'll never. Oh. Copy. All right. Now let's go into verse 1 here. We're going to have to go pretty quick because we want to get to our panel on time. But also got a lot of words here. So breaking down verse 1. If I can just find it. There are 3 new words we haven't come across. Mechaze, that's a vision. There's 4 usages in the Old Testament or the Law and Prophets. There's very little to go on here. Tyndale agrees that it means vision, so I'm willing to move on. It's from another word that means like regular vision. So this is kind of like a special vision. I spent like 10 minutes digging through it on a Saturday, and I'm like, I have no reason to doubt it, but I can't really tell you why I agree that machaze means like a special vision. Magen or Magina, that's a shield. There's 63 usages in the Law and Prophets or in Moses or in the Old Testament. Sakar, that's to hire or wages, and there's 28 examples in the Old Testament. So with those 3 words and our last 40 weeks, we now know that this verse says, then Abram saw Ahiah in a spiritual voodoo vision, I called it that, and heard, fear not, Ahiah is your shield. Here comes reward. That's kind of my modern day translation. So our story so far can say this. Foxhole family, we have in the chat _classical chick. Lurking from bed, been sick. I'm sorry you've been sick. I didn't know that. I saw you in Sloan chat earlier today. You looked good. But chat doesn't show everything. Thanks to Jesus, you are as much a Hebrew as anyone could ever be. Oh, pretending to be Hebrew. Yeah, impeach them all. Yeah, I know. So I brought that upon myself. As I used to tell Leonard, English. Is that how you said it, titties and beer? Yeah, guys, this is the first time I've done a Wednesday night since the morning that denial set in, and honestly, denial keeps creeping in, but the hard, cold reality is what it is. This is the first Wednesday night since then, so let's just see where the night takes us, right? Yeah, impeach them all with the delay. I forget half of what I said 30 seconds ago. Hankton Alien Surfer has given us a cookie. You know, there is a production staff here. That's why I keep saying us.
Looky, here comes the...
Sorry, the cutoff was a little abrupt there. So our story so far, if you combine the first 40 weeks plus what we just read, we can add the word mystical. So the Shemites, Lot, and mighty pious mystical Uncle Abram. Now for verse 2, we're going to need 3 new words. I'm trying to go fast. So if you see me screaming through, you know how it go. You know how it be like. Adonai. That means Lord. There's 448 usages in the Old Testament. The pictograph has a D and an N. The D is a picture of a door, and the N is a picture of a seed, representing the idea of life, you know. So a door and seed, or life. So you can combine these pictures together to mean the door of life. So the ancient Hebrew concept here, they're saying, is a judge, or one who restores or maintains or keeps good life or actual life order, you know. The goal of one that rules or judges is to bring a pleasant, righteous life to the people. So think deliverer, perhaps. Adonai, Lord. One who restores life to his people. The giver of life, the keeper of life. So Adonai, It's a pretty reasonable, I think I agree with the translators, door to life. And it was used as judge or lord. So a trusted master, you could say maybe. We also need to know the word ariri. That means stripped. There's 4 usages in the Old Testament or the Law and Prophets. A pictograph. The O, which is an I, and R, which is a man. So combined, these are see a man. Sounds like 1 Adam 12. Remember that? 1 Adam 12, 1 Adam 12, see the man. You've got to be really old to know that. So when the enemy is captured, he's stripped of his clothes to the skin and carefully watched. Where's that used? Let's see. Let's go back. We'll give you childless. Yeah, there's childless. They're stripped. I got nothing. It's a good state to be in when you're talking to God. I got nothing. I got nothing. I don't see how that means childless, but I think he's saying, what can I do, Lord? You keep telling me I'm going to have this nation, but I got nothing. In the context, I can see this word means childless, but I don't think it really is so automatic. So I think this is a bit of a simplified translation that's in most of the translations. By the way, this hit me. Well, we know this story, right? You've heard it over and over and over again. Here in the future, soon, we're going to see him and Hagar getting it on. Why didn't he think of that before? He's busy telling God, there's no way I could possibly have a child. So he's actually, if you really notice it, he's keeping marriage intact right now. He's like, how could I? We all know that a really old dude and a childbearing aged woman can have a kid, right? So maybe Hagar wasn't in the picture yet, but he's basically saying, I can't have a kid. So he knows how marriage should work, right? And it never occurred to me, except for this millionth time getting ready for this show. I'm like, he's tipping his hat. He's tipping his hand a little bit. Not his hat, his hand. We also need the word meshech, which is acquisition or possession. There's only one usage in the Old Testament, and it's right here. It might have a hint of someone who will inherit. I dug into the Brown Driver Briggs thing, and it says that the meaning is conjectured up from the text. It just admits that. So this is just one of those places where you have to kind of like figure in context this word. It's never used anywhere else. So meshech. And the blank of my house is Damascus Eliezer. But you can tell from context that this is like the biggest in the house. And we know from last chapter he had 13 warriors that were born in his house. 318. I don't know why I said 13. Did I say 13? I did take a nap. I really did. Hangton Alien Surfer has switched to lurking mode. Lurking. Lurking aliens make me nervous. I'm just going to confess that right now. All right, so let's put this sentence all together. Abram said, Mr. God, how? I got nothing. You're going to give me like rhino horn powder or something? Like some kind of aphrodisiac? And my house is lined up to go to some dude from Damascus. So our story so far can be updated. No human angel half-breeds, no murder, no blood drinking, 3 bloodlines, Japheth, Greek, Hamites, Philistines, Canaanites, Assyrians, Shemites, Lot, and the mighty, pious, mystical, childless Uncle Abram. Super Viagra plant must grow in the Middle East somewhere, says Duppy. Yeah. I think so. Let's go to the next verse. I got a lot of verses to get through. We're just going to get through these as fast as we can. But we're going to get them, we're not going to skip any. We need to know the word yarash or yaresh. That's to take possession of or inherit or dispossess. There's 231 usages in the Law and Prophets, and that's pretty much what it means. Take possession of, dispossess, inherit. So pass from person A to person B, possibly by a smooth inheritance or possibly by a yoink. Aliens lurk right before the probing starts, says Duppy. Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. That's why I get so nervous. So this verse tells us that Abram said, you gave me no kids, and a person born in my house is the heir. So then, is it God's rule that inheritance work that way? Or was this just what the culture was doing at the time? By the way, notice that everyone really does think kids come from God. They know how biology works, but they're seeing them as gifts from God. Let's go to verse 4. Verse 4. We need to know one new word here. Me'eh. That's internal organs, inward parts, belly, your gutty works, basically. There's 32 usages in the Old Testament, or the Law and Prophets. It can mean like in your gut, your stomach, your feelings, your heart stuff, like that, innards. So it's kind of like your gut chakra, if there is a gut chakra. Black Yoda, keep me honest there. I think there's a heart chakra, I know, but is there a gut? I think there is a gut chakra. This is your gut biome colony telling you what to think and feel, right? Let's see how it's used in the verse. Is it mimeika? Is that the one I'm looking for? Mea, yeah. So your inner gutty works, coming from inside you. All right. So combining all of our prior words we've seen so far, plus this word, we can say this verse says, he somehow heard from Ahiah, because I don't know if this is in his ears or in his mind or what, that dude won't get your house. One of your own bio kids will get your house. So not some adoptee, a bio child of yours. Notice that everyone's clear that the kid can come from the dude. So, I mean, I used to think that people were stupid and it took them forever to figure out how kids are made. But this text is saying they've known since the dawn of time. So Abram was destined to get some kind of mystical fertility treatment. So we can add to our story so far. No human angel half-breeds, no murder, no blood drinking, 3 bloodlines, Japheth the Greek, Hamites the Philistines, the Canaanites the Assyrians, Shemites such as Lot, and mighty pious mystical Uncle Abram, who needed mystical fertility treatment. We've picked up on that. He needs some mystical fertility treatment. Let's go to verse 5. A lot of verses to go, so at this rate, I might be just a tad bit late, but I'm going to go as fast as I can. Okay. Nabat, to look. 69 usages in the Old Testament. We need 2 more words. Safar, to count, recount, relate. It's from sefer, which is to record, and we've already gone through that. Cool. Thus, here. There's 576 examples. It means thus. That's kind of a vague word, even in English, like it's like the word this. I once had an English teacher, by the way, who said you can't say it or this in any of your essays that you write at all, ever. Forbade it. Would instantly fail you. So this verse says, he took him out and said, you'll have as many descendants as the stars. So our story so far says Abram needed mystical fertility treatment to sire a great nation. Did he run in and compare the estimates of dirt on earth and stars in the sky? Or did he just go, cool? By the way, in the cosmology of the Old Testament, there's kind of an above-below thing, you know? First he says the stars in the sky, and later he says the dirt in the earth. So that innumerable thing above you, that innumerable thing below you. Let's go to verse 6. I don't think he really counted the stars. No way. Aman, to confirm, support. 108 usages in the Old Testament. It usually means believe. So he leaned in on the crazy plan. How does Abram show his belief, by the way? How do we know he believed? The Bible tells us he believed. How do we know? Chashab, that's to think or account. There's 124 usages in the Old Testament. It could mean reckon, devise, or regard. And tzedakah. You know the name Neil Sedaka? That's got to come from this word, right? Duppy, that's a little pro tip. Tzedakah is a name, righteousness. 157, me trying to give you pro tips. Sorry. That's totally out of place. You're the pro. 157 law and prophet examples nearly always means righteousness. So I looked up in English. Righteousness means upright, moral, and justified. So Abram says, cool. And that made him forever a perfect example of faith for millennia to come. That's my claim here, because it says he believed in Yahweh, Achaya, and he accounted it to him as righteousness. Impeach 'em all was kind of talking about that earlier. We're all in Abraham. You know, those with faith are in their spiritual descendants of Abraham. So now I'm going to add to our story so far. Shemites Lot and mighty pious, mystical, faithfully righteous Uncle Abram who needed mystical fertility treatment to sire a great nation. So I'm going to shorten that now to go forward. Shemites Lot and favored Uncle Abraham who needed mystical fertility treatment to sire a great nation. Let's look at number 7, verse 7. He said to him, I am Yahweh, who brought you out of the Ur of the Chaldeans to give you the land this to possess. So he's really the uncle of destiny, Abram. So verse 8 essentially says, how will I know? Little Whitney Houston for you. Lord, I'm hearing you. But how do I know that I'm not just thinking this, that this isn't a fever dream, right? What does this verse mean? He's like, how will I know? So if you're talking to God, why would you say, how do I know? Like, exactly how is he hearing from God here? But God is gracious, and watch what he does. He's like, all right, you go out and get me we need 5 new words here. We need an eglah, which is a heifer. Ez, which is female goat, Ayil, which is a ram, Tor, which is a turtle dove, Gozal, which is young birds. There's 14 examples of the heifer, 72 examples of the goat, 183 examples of the ram, 14 examples of the turtle dove, and only 2 examples in the Old Testament of the young birds. It's a featherless bird, so in context, that's how we think it's young, right? It means a featherless bird. It's probably young, like it's still got the fuzz, right? It's not got feathers. So we're getting into the contractual ritual, which we'll see here in a minute. So let me go to the next verse. Duppy, if you're out there, I'm guessing you're digging on this part. Like this is you're asking what the religion was like. Well, here is some detail, right? What the Abrahamic religion before Moses was like. So in this verse, we're going to need 2 new words. Bathar, that's to cut in 2. There's 2 usages entirely, and they're both in this verse in the entire Old Testament that I could find. Bathar. But the word bether, which is a part or a piece, is also in this verse, and there's 4 examples, and it seems derived from Bathar. In these 4 examples, you got songs. There are parts of mountain. Songs. Why did I write the word songs? Here, let's look at Bathar. Down the middle. Bathar. Let's see, we need there. Each piece. Is this it? There. Yeah. Yeah, this. Oh, Songs of Solomon. So it's in Songs of Solomon. Where it's parts of a mountain, and in Jeremiah they walk between cut cow parts. So that really fits what the picture is here, because you'll see mystical lanterns going to go through. Yeah, Sadaka is Jewish. Pretty sure he's a modern Oh, you think he's a modern castrato? Interesting. I didn't know that. Does he sing up high? Neil Sadaka is castrato. Does castrato mean what I think it means? All right, let's deviate from castrato. Oh, yeah. Before puberty. So it's like a hormone blocking the hard way. Yee. Only it can't be the hard way anymore. Sorry, I got to stop. Okay. So they lay opposite each other in this picture, so that helps us to trust the translation. I basically Even though we have very few copies of the words to see how else it's used, by digging through this, I'm like, it can't mean anything else. So he brought the animals, chopped them, and put the pieces opposite each other, but did not chop the birds. So our story so far is no human angel half-breeds, no murder, no blood drinking, 3 bloodlines, Japheth, Greek, Hamites, Philistines, Canaanites, Assyrians, Shemites, Lot, and Uncle Abram of Destiny, as confirmed by ritual. And we haven't seen the ritual yet, but we're seeing the prep for it. I hope Thaggy, I said Duppy earlier when I meant Thaggy and vice versa. I hope you're both. I know Duppy's there. Hopefully Thaggy makes it, because I think he's going to dig this part. If not, we'll go back and talk to him later. We'll make it work. All right. Yoda, I'm running a little late. I'm going to jam through this as fast as I can. 3 new words here. Ayit, bird of prey. There's 8 usages in the Old Testament. It's an O, which is the eye, and a U, which is a basket. So if you put these together, it says to see and contain. Bird of prey is able to see his prey from a distance, drops down, and grabs. So see, grab, shwink. Duppy, kind of interesting from the heron perspective, right? The word is ayit, bird of prey. And the way they think of a bird of prey, word-wise, the construction of the word is spot, contain, snag, farnk. Peger, that's corpse or carcass, 22 examples in the Old Testament. Nashab, that's to blow. So like wind blowing water. There's 3 examples in the Old Testament. So he's like shooing them away. So the vultures came along and wanted some of the goods, and Abram prevailed. Is this a sign of future advances on the gift of the land? How long was he there? Like, the vultures, did they show up that fast? Was he there for a while? Were these dead animals and he cut them later? Or was it, they're out in the middle of nowhere, so the vultures are like, there's some action. We're going to watch this guy anyway. Let's go to verse 12. We need 3 new words. And how many more verses do I have to go? I forget. All right, 3 new words. Shamesh, that's the sun. Emah, that's terror and dread. Chaseka, that's darkness. There's 12 examples, there's 134 examples of Shemesh, 17 examples of Emah, 5 examples of Shasheka through the Old Testament. You can also see Shashak another 18 times. So there's enough. So as the sun's going down around 3 a.m., zonkiness was on Abram, and he had night terrors. Woo. Daily Insanity says, prayers for classical chick. So Abram of Destiny, as confirmed by ritual, that gave him night terrors. Okay, in an effort to bring on our panel, let me get to the next verse. I'm sorry I'm going so fast. You guys love it. I hope. Ger, a sojourner. 92 examples from the word ger, which we've seen before, so I'll pass right on through. Ana, that's to defile or be bowed down or afflicted. So you're crunched, you're hunched. There's 83 examples in the Old Testament. It's an O, which is the eye, an in, which is a seed. That shows continuance. So it's the eye of continuance. So it's the nomadic agriculturist carefully watching over his livestock by keeping a close eye on them and the crops. It was common to construct a shelter with a roof on 4 posts from the glare of the sun. So, Ana, the hard worker, the one that is struck by labor, I guess. I don't know. I have continued. I don't know why I read all that. Anyway, so let's say it means oppressed or treated harshly is what I came to. So God told Abram, your descendants will be foreigners in a different land and slaves and oppressed for 400 years. Sorry to just glitz right through that. Kare was the Roman name for Haran, by the way. Both names show up in history a lot. Interesting. Okay, so Kare. So this is kind of a good news, bad news thing. You're going to have a great nation. They're going to have 400 years of suffering. So Uncle Abram, whose country will be huge after 400 years of doom. Let's go to verse 14. During the panel, if anybody wants me to go through that word for oppression, I can. All right. No new words, but let's look at this word for judge, Dan. It's like struggling. It feels like a bit like a parenting struggle. Like the judge is like, lay sigh for the millionth time. I'm going to charge you $150 for running that red light. Small town judge. You're never going to learn. So in this verse, we learn that Uncle Abram's country will be huge and rich with oppressors' stuff after the 400 years of doom. So that's definitely some bad news, good news. You're going to raid the oppressors. We know how that goes because we've read Exodus. Let's look at verse 15. Sorry, this is taking 40 minutes. Let me hurry through. There's 3 new words. Shalom, completeness, soundness, welfare, peace. 230 examples in the Old Testament means undivided or whole. We know this word. Shalom, shalom, peace be upon you. Kabar, that's to bury. There's 132 usages in the Old Testament. It always means to bury. Seba, that's hoary head or old age. So like a gray beard, old gray-headed. There's 19 examples in the Old Testament. To put it all together, you'll end well, he says. By the way, that wouldn't satisfy me if we knew we used to live forever. That's not a good ending. It's still death. 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, it's all death, right? I'd be like, I want the Adam deal. I want what he had. Do we believe that Adam was really going to live forever? He never did. He didn't demonstrate it. I think it's clear in the Bible that literally means live forever. Let's debate that tonight. This verse, there's one new word, henna. That means hither, like come here. 50 examples in the Old Testament. A lot of the place words so far in our first 40 weeks of study have been more like the narrator saying over there, over there, over there. But now it's starting to be between two people that are talking when they name places. So now they're like, here, come here. So the shift is starting to change. We're hearing a lot of dialogue instead of just narration. Because this is the first time where I noticed a place word being very, like, between two people. To put this verse together, in the 4th generation, they'll come back because the evil of the Amorites is not fully handled yet. So Uncle Abram's country will be huge and rich with oppressors' stuff, returning after 400 years of doom out of town. They'll be out of town. Then they'll come here. All right, verse 17. Man, sorry this is taking so long. Yoda, be patient with me. We need ve'alata from alata. That means thick darkness. There's 4 examples in the Old Testament, and the only thing I can see is it's from its context. It's a very rare word, but it works as thick darkness here. Hayavine, it was, there appeared. Tanur, a portable stove, a fire pot. So all of a sudden, a portable stove, like a camping stove, just shows up. A ghost stove. By the 15 usages of the Old Testament, I do agree it's a cooking container, but I can't figure out what kind. In modern Hebrew, it's an oven. So it's like it's not a torch. It's like a hot box of some sort with fire floating between the animals, we're going to see here in a minute. Ashan, that means smoke. There's 25 examples in the Old Testament. Velapid, that's from lapid. That's a torch. That's the thing that floats, I think. There's 14 examples in the Old Testament. And esh, it's a fire. There's 377 examples, so I'm pretty comfortable with that word. Ashar avarben, that means passed between. Hagazarim, that comes from gezer. There's, it's a part. And there's only 2 examples. And it comes from the word gazar, though, which means to cut. So I was pretty comfortable with that. Ha'ele, that means these. So this verse, okay, we're almost done. After sunset, when it was dark, there was a smoking cooking thing and a lit burning torch that went between the cow parts. So we're going to have to look at verse 18, 19, 20, and 21, but I can do them super fast. So our story so far, though, is no human angel half-breeds, no murder, no blood drinking. 3 bloodlines, Japheth, Greek, Hamites, Philistines, Canaanites, Assyrians, Shemites, Lot, and Uncle Abram, whose country will be huge and rich with oppressor stuff, returning after 400 years of doom out of town, as confirmed by a vision of a ghost with fire walking around the ritual. I don't want to skim over this part, so hopefully we'll talk about this in the commentary with the commentators after. A ghost torch and an oven walked between the cow parts to confirm the vision. That's kind of weird. By the way, it just occurs to me right now, Abram's like, I went to Egypt and was macking, and that's how I got rich there. These guys are going to get reamed on and somehow paid to leave. Okay. He's like, that's not how I do it, but if that's how Moses is going to do it in the future, that's cool. Anyway, let's jam through the next 4 verses and call it a night and go to our panel. Not call it a night for the show, but call it. This one's huge because it includes Cairo and the top half of Saudi Arabia and more. All the way to the Euphrates, right? This is huge. We're always debating how much land was supposed to be given to Israel in the old times. This is one of the bigger land grabs mentioned right here. Verse 19, the Kenizzite and the Cadmonite. Verse 20, the Rephaim, they may be giants. I always say, they might be giants, boy, they might be giants. Never realized that song is about the Rephaim. Ich liebe dich, says Hangton Alien Surfer. He's been probing the Germans tonight. And the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, the Jebusites. And with that, we will begin part 2. 10 minutes late. Better late than never. Let's get on it with the panel. All right. Jitsi. Let me provide the linky. And let me start doing my maintenance. Deactivate so that I can go in. All right. Okay. I feel like I talked a million miles an hour. That was an entire chapter, read and broke down in 45 minutes. And anyone in the chat's welcome to come in. Hopefully we see Yoda, co-host. The amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, kind of stealing from Craig's riff. I want to do my own, man. I haven't even checked lurker count. Might have drove everyone away. We might be down to Hang 10 and Duppy and Daily Insanity. And Hang 10. Oh, I mentioned Hang 10 already. Let's check and see the lurker count. Let's see what we at. Oh, sizable lurking. I shouldn't have gone so fast. Oh, there we go.
Hey, what's up, man?
My brother, it is important to see you and good to see you.
It's good to see you too, you know?
Yeah. It's been a rough week.
Yeah. It's been better weeks, I'll say that.
Yep. You ever notice when somebody close passes or anybody you know passes, you sort of go, oh, this is the first time I've done X and so since that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That hit me like a half hour ago. I'm like, oh, this is the first Wednesday night since.
No, it's tough, you know?
Yep.
I've seen people go up and down, but for the most part, they're starting to get more solid about it, you know? It was just really out of the blue. But the one thing, dude, I forgot he was vexed. Because I remember talking to him about it, you know?
Yep. Yeah. I had heard about that.
Well, a long time ago, somehow it came up on his end in conversation.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, I know you know better. Why would you do that? And it was just job related, you know? I don't think he had a choice. So.
Yep. Well, and I respect that. We've talked about that. You know, I'm pretty sure I've told you that and I've told you I'm super proud of what you did about the vax.
Yeah.
When the decision was coming close to me, I got to thinking long and hard because I'm like, at the time it was like a 10-year-old. He's 12 now, but 10, 11-year-old. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it's one thing to say, oh, I'll have faith. I'll do the right thing. I won't get vaxxed. It's another when they're going to come at you and take your paycheck away, right?
Yeah.
So I thought about it, and the test came close to me, but then faded away. They never actually finally threatened to. They put it on paper. They told us we had to, but they never really followed up. So I never got tested. I never got pushed to that brink. But I'm pretty sure I was going to say no. But I don't know.
I forget if it was Agenda 2021. Anywhere there was some kind of get together where they were speculating what would happen if there was a COVID outbreak. This was back in I want to say September, October of 2019.
Was that Event 201 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of, I don't want to say CEOs, but there were a lot of top dogs for a lot of these corporations that attended that event.
Mm-hmm.
One being, I forget the guy's name, but he ran one of the airlines that was really pushing it. And then they backed out. And companies like what I worked for, Honeywell, I know they had somebody there because Honeywell got a shitload of COVID money. So they were going to push this stuff regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And they did.
Yep.
And I learned too much about it to even consider doing it.
Yep.
I tried to warn people. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. It's not worth it. Mm-hmm.
Daily Insanity says with a sticker, not a fucking chance. Amen, brother. As the time came and went, and I got more, information was coming out, and obviously looking back, not getting the thing is clearly the better decision, right?
Yeah. Because I took the time to look up the patent numbers,
mm-hmm.
mRNA, luciferase,
Yep.
graphene oxide. My voice is a little.
Yeah.
It's been weird this last week, so excuse me.
Well, that's the thing. Like, even without taking the mRNA,
Mm-hmm.
there's been I don't want to make too big a deal of this because we kind of create our own reality to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I've been successfully fighting off all kind of shed stuff around me. It's in the society now. You can smell the spike proteins. They come at you, right? We keep fighting them off.
I'm a little conflicted on the spike protein.
Yeah.
I have heard that the yolk of the egg,
mm-hmm.
What's the word I'm looking for? Deals with it. Like, it takes care of it in some kind of way, right? And that was the reason for the egg shortages, because they don't like that cause and effect.
Right.
I haven't dug enough on that one to be able to say one way or another, but I do trust the people that brought it up. They come up with some gold, you know, but I do like the proof stuff before I speak on it.
Yeah. I like to eat eggs. I've been eating a lot of them.
I've told my son, dude, don't mess with any vax chicks because we don't know what the spike protein is going to do. We've heard about vaccine, VADES, vaccine-acquired immune deficiency and whatnot.
Right.
We don't know if there's going to be something that could be transmitted sexually, or we just don't know enough. And I don't see a lot of people talking about that one.
Right.
And it bothers me, and he'll be 23 in March, and that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
And at his age, it's in him to not care.
Right.
But I've taught him better than that, and it's not hard to ask somebody, hey, did you do it?
Right.
It's not worth it. And plus, if he gets attached to somebody that did do it, I don't want her giving me mutant grandbabies and shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
The black-eyed babies.
Yeah. Shit don't even look right. They're holding their necks up.
I know that stuff is crazy.
I saw one baby just crawling all over shit. You know what I mean?
Like on
And I'm
day
like,
one, right?
yeah, yeah. I don't want no weird ass mutant grandbabies.
You'll love them just the way they are,
No, I wanna
even if they're pure evil.
get this little freak of nature out of my bloodline.
You're gonna be in an episode of the X-Files, basically.
Yeah, shit. Come in the room and all kind of shit is levitating because this little weird buffalo. Nah, man. I'm
We've
good.
decided to name our child Damien.
Mm. I was looking at this area between the river of Egypt and the Euphrates.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good chunk of land. That's the whole northwestern part of Saudi Arabia,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up towards Turkey.
That's right. Here, I'll put up a map.
Southeast side of Egypt.
Yep. Here, I'll share my screen. Look at a map. We'll go to... Well, it's not a globe, we know that, but still.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just typed in River of Egypt to Euphrates and clicked images.
Cool. So the Euphrates is, let's see, where's the Persian Gulf? That's way over here. So Euphrates is coming up this way, right?
Yeah.
So it's this huge chunk. So it's got part of Saudi Arabia, you're saying? So like this part right in here?
Yep. And then where you have Egypt, everything to the east of that yellowish green, scroll down a little bit. That whole area where that green is to your east, all of that going all the way across Saudi Arabia, all the way up to Turkey.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
So basically this screen right here.
Pretty much, yeah.
Duppy sent me a map last week. Let me grab it real quick. I think it'll apply to this. Duppy ended up showing this, I think. Yeah, this is a pretty good one. Copy address. Here, let's show this. But so it's, pretty much all of this. So it would include, let me ask this. Did it include the area above the Euphrates, though? Because I don't think it would include old Assyria. But everything below, yeah.
Well, no, it does cover Syria.
Oh, okay.
Because Syria is before you get to Turkey, if you're looking up.
Yeah. Why won't it? I lost the internet. Wow, that's a bug.
I can see if I can download this and share it.
Yeah.
On my, because I'm looking at this on the laptop. So
Cool.
Let me figure this out. Save image as desktop. Um, I'm typing in the name right now. Hold on for the file. I'm so used to using my phone that as I'm typing, I'm waiting for auto. You know how the
Correct.
auto
Yeah.
populates your words, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how come it's not popping up yet?
The autocomplete. Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds
Do
me
they?
of when I first started driving a car that does adaptive cruise, and then I
Mhm.
would hop into the other car that doesn't. At first, I'm like, how come it's getting so close to that car in front of me?
Mm. Oh, so we had to get a rental because Bernie's car is getting fixed,
Right.
and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that Bernie's car does. It has a
Mm-hmm.
couple, but not. I mean, Bernie's car has a lot of bells and whistles.
Yep.
Like she has sensors in her car to where if you're too close to the line, it'll start to beep.
Yep.
Or if like a car's, if you want to get over and there's a car right there,
Mm-hmm.
it'll light up. It'll light up on the mirrors on the door
Yep.
to let you know, like, hey, don't get over. And it's got sensors like what you're talking about. Like if you're too close to something at your current speed, it'll beep on the window
Yeah.
to let you know, like, hey, slow your ass down.
Yeah.
But I'll be glad when we get that car back because
Well, you get used to those bells and whistles.
well, not just that, but this car, the shocks aren't for shit in this car. You feel everything when you drive over it. And you know how like you just don't notice at first because it's new to you. And now it's just like, this sucks.
Mm.
So all right, I got that saved. Let me pull up um Facebook.
Right
Are you
before
able
you.
to go?
Yeah, I can go to Facebook. Right before you share that, I want to point out Duppy said in the chat that these kingdoms on this picture are all Amorite extraction, expanded out near the area near Urkesh. Norm, hello.
Hello, happy Ash Wednesday.
Why,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, actually, you might not be experiencing Ash Wednesday right now, but
I can give something up. Are we giving something up today?
what?
Don't we give up something for 40 days starting?
Well, it's not necessarily giving something up, but I'm going to try to be more humble.
Nice. Yeah, like a commitment, some kind of commitment.
Yeah, not the movie, the commitment. So it's a good movie, but yeah, it's a commitment to
Nice.
something. It's not necessarily giving something up, which I think is the wrong vocabulary for
Right.
Lent. But it is actually a commitment to something better, something virtuous. Like maybe I don't know how to. Now that I listen to your show, where you say things in other languages.
Try.
No, the English language is very. It seems very bless you. Yeah, but it seems very
No, I swallowed wrong. Excuse me.
yeah. Don't inhale water. Inhale cigarettes and drink water. Or drink beer or whatever.
No, I'm
But
drinking a coffee right now.
but
Yay.
but but the English vocabulary seems very limited sometimes, where
Agreed.
you cannot explain yourself. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Lent is not giving something up. It's a commitment to something,
Nice.
and maybe that something is doing less of something else.
Right.
Abstaining
Mhm.
from. Well, actually, you're supposed to abstain from sex and meat on Fridays. Which is odd, where they put the meat and sex together, but whatever. But I'm talking about the Catholic tradition, which is where I grew up, Irish Catholic, and I thought so many things about the Catholic Church was so bad, but being Ash Wednesday today, I actually had to rethink about a lot of things.
Mm.
And abstaining is not a bad thing.
Right.
It's like fasting. Well, it is fasting from certain things because of fast. A lot of people thinks it means to diet or to just the vocabulary gets lost. And but
Well,
a happy Ash Wednesday. Today is Ash Wednesday.
Thank you.
And I wanted to actually chime in here to say that yesterday was Fat Tuesday.
Yep.
Today is Ash Wednesday. We experienced Mardi Gras yesterday, if people don't know, and Ash Wednesday follows up. And Mardi Gras is like supposed to get out all your ambition to do all those worldly things. And then Ash Wednesday is not so much to give something up, but it's what was the word you used earlier, G. Ross?
Like a commitment.
Commit to new, maybe healthier things, or maybe meditate more. Maybe, not be so selfish. Maybe, do things differently, basically, or healthier, or whatever. So, but I did want to jump in here because it was Ash Wednesday. I know this is my my religion thing.
What did I just do? Sorry. Keep talking. I broke my thing. I'm back.
All right, cool. Yeah,
I just
you
missed
jumped
2
out.
seconds.
Yeah.
No, like.
But I know I don't want to interrupt what you're talking about, but at the same time, I want to recognize the day. So
Yeah, I love it. Have you ever noticed we interrupt ourselves on what we're talking about on the Wednesday night show?
Oh yeah, no.
We go off the rails a little bit.
It does happen. And on the 3 Beer Room, we have a word for that. It's called digress.
Right. We digress.
But no, I just want to recognize the day.
Nice.
Because 40 days from now is Easter.
Right.
So I sent you that picture. I did it on Facebook, but I also sent it to you on the Foxhole in your DM.
It's on the screen now.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
The one on my laptop, it has a huge delay for some reason.
That's a huge chunk of land.
Yeah. For a long time, I didn't realize that the people in the Middle East to this day are still fighting over the sons of Abraham.
Right.
still fighting over a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know about that until about 10 years ago. I mean, I guess I kind of knew, but I didn't really take the time to appreciate it or really understand it. And you would think it's been long enough for them to get over it, but they take it real serious.
I feel like.
Well,
Yeah.
the CIA helps them out.
Mm-hmm. I was going to dance around that.
Oh no, I just said it straight out. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, but they help them out there. And
They do. They sow a lot of discontent all over the world. They really do.
Well, and the map you have there, it doesn't even like look at Syria. Okay, what separates Syria from like the countries around it?
Just the British chopping up that they did, the French and the British back in the day.
Well, what about religion? What religion is Syria?
It's mostly Islam.
That's what I thought.
It's actually a secular state, technically, I think.
Hold on. Maybe I'm thinking of Syria. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think Syria is technically. Hang on. Is
Syria? I'm thinking of Assyria, maybe.
Oh, they were kind of Babylonian, right?
Or Christian.
Back in the day?
No.
Did you say Assyria?
Assyria. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of north from there. So I'm looking at the map differently.
Okay. Hey, did you see that they got hit with another earthquake?
With no aftershocks, right?
I don't know about the aftershocks, but it was a pretty intense one.
Okay, the earthquake story about did you see the earthquake story about the Chinese bridge? That was absolutely ridiculous because China had nothing to do with the bridge, and the bridge was 600 miles away from Turkey. And it was in wherever the earthquake was. It's like Chinese bridge survives the earthquake, and then you look into the China had nothing to do with it. First of all, second of all, it was 600 miles away, which wouldn't have affected it anyway. So,
right.
So, and that was from a Chinese. Well, it wasn't. I can't remember what publication it was from, but it wasn't a Chinese publication. But then you can look at that publication and look. Everything from this publication is to discredit because it's Chinese propaganda. But
right,
it's from some European publication, but it was kind of a ridiculous story.
Sounds like a straw man was set up just to make fun of the Chinese or something.
No. It was a straw man set up to say that China is great because it said that this Chinese bridge, it survived the earthquake. Then you find out that China had nothing to do with the bridge. First of all, but they claim that they had something to do with the bridge, and then you find out it's 600 miles away, which wouldn't have affected the bridge at all. And yeah, it was a complete fake story. It was some European rag, I'm sure.
Because we have. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say I wish I could remember, but yeah, I can't remember. But the chat is smart; they probably know.
Well, we happen, speaking of the chat, to have a geophysicist in the chat who says that this was an aftershock of the earlier bigger quake.
Yeah, but I wish I remembered where that story came out of, because it was complete bullshit.
So, I did a quick Google while you were talking, and I found a couple of links, but they had not quite paywalls, but annoying pop-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Even in Brave, I was getting them. I'm not VPN'd, so.
Oh, I hate those damn things.
Yep.
No, that will happen, but they were all sort of probably pay because if you have to pay a paywall, it's probably a Chinese propaganda.
Right, exactly.
So, just saying. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying probably.
So
yeah, go ahead.
no, when you were reading earlier tonight,
Mhm.
I was thinking about how Abram got together all those animals to make a sacrifice,
Right.
and we've talked about that a little bit before.
Mm-hmm.
And his son, by the way,
Yeah, that's coming up soon.
was actually the biggest part of it, but
Well, we haven't gotten to that part yet.
well, no, we haven't gotten to that. But you said gotten together all those animals, but I
Right.
thought I should mention that.
Yeah, he'll eventually raise the stakes, right? Right now he's doing like 3 heifers, 3 goats, 3 somethings, and a couple birds.
So we're talking about what was their religion then, or did they go by any books or scripts or just whatever?
Right.
I believe I thought that was Judaism, but at the time, but I
But
could be
what's
wrong.
apparent is there's at this point they're still making sacrifices to God. So like when Pete Aggie was bringing it up, and we don't really know how to answer the question. One, it's apparent that he talks to God, so he knows God is a thing, right? He's making these sacrifices. He's concerned about lineage and having an heir, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten older because at this point he's supposed to be like in his 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or somewhere around there.
Yeah, people lived well past hundreds back then, allegedly.
Right.
But we don't we don't know timelines. Okay, here's the thing about that. We don't know timelines back then because we don't know if they count the years the same as we did. We got our timelines all mixed up 3 or 4 times. Last time with Pope Gregory, who we know he was a liar.
Was he a Jesuit? I'm gonna
I
look
don't
that
think.
up.
No, I don't.
I don't think he was.
I don't think Jesuit even existed back.
No, they
then.
didn't.
But yeah, don't confuse me because I've had a couple.
Sorry.
Beers. All right, but I was on a point here, but we don't know about a lot of things back then because nobody was around to tell the story, except for the written word. But the written word can be manipulated, as we well know, from the internet itself. And there is a telephone game. There's a passing down of verbal communication, but we know some of the story. You believe what you want to believe, Stephen, and I have my beliefs, but I won't push my beliefs on other people because I don't I can't prove some of them, most of them maybe.
This is going to be
It's subjective. It is subjective to a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are subjective. So
I'm gonna make an odd comparison to this.
Yep.
So the last 3 Star Wars movies, in the first of the 3, they showed.
Hold off, because they didn't go in chronological order. Are you talking about the first of the 3 or the are the
Yeah, you got to
third.
clarify, Yoda.
No, no, no. The last three that they made, right?
Well, no, and then you said the first of the three, and that's where I
The,
want to clarify
all right.
because that they did not go in chronological order. They went the 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 middle three, the first three, and then the last three.
Listen,
So,
all right, I'm gonna say this again. The last three that they made,
all right, cool.
Okay.
the first of those three,
Okay.
Mm.
when Ren was like going through crashed ships and looking for like just spare parts or random parts or anything of
Mhm.
value, we can almost look at life like that.
Okay.
We
Okay,
know some. Now,
that
now
was
imagine.
that
Now
was
imagine.
after that was that. Okay,
Right, right. But my
that
point.
wasn't the. You're getting them wrong. Wrong. Like
No,
you're
No,
he's
getting.
saying that's after like the Empire
Yeah,
Struck Back and all that.
yeah. But forgive me for getting off. Okay, I'm a really big Star Wars fan, so okay, when she was going through the that was post of all six Star Wars, by the way.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that was not the first of the three. That was the
Yeah,
first.
Yoda, I think you accidentally said at the top of the discussion the first three Star Wars. That threw
No,
Norm.
I said
It,
the last
Yeah,
three.
I
I'm
think you
no.
meant last three.
Oh, okay. The last three that came out. Okay, I am a huge Star Wars fan, so I yeah, I know the chronological order of it, but I know what you're talking about now. So please
Okay.
carry on. All right.
So the way they depicted, on the planet, you got these crashed ships from the battle, from like Return of the Jedi and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can almost look at our world the same way. We have all this evidence of old cultures and civilizations. Now imagine being Ren in that scenario and not knowing about the fight that took place between the rebels and Darth Vader's people. You know what I'm saying? All you see is all this shit just all over scattered around, crashed. You might not know the history of it, but something obviously happened, right? We got stuff like that all over our world, you know? Um,
Um, I am well aware of that, and
yeah,
but but
Nice sticker.
unfortunately, academics won't let. Yeah, no, the sticker I just dropped in the chat.
That's a good sticker.
Yeah, AAA won't pick up that. But okay,
and the
so
closest the closest thing that we have to explain it is our Bible, you know?
Yep.
but what I'm saying about the Bible is, and don't blame me for don't say I'm blasphemous because I'm not trying to be blasphemous, but it is uh, a lot of hearsay sometimes, and telephone game where you're like kind of um you're 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 kind of not getting the full story because nobody was there. I wasn't there. You weren't there. Hugh Ross
Right.
wasn't there. So we cannot get the full story. Um, and also there's an old saying, "Victors write the rules or write the history."
Right.
Um, um, and unfortunately, either you have to find the history or you have to speculate. I don't like to speculate myself, but I do have speculation from what I've been told from. I don't like to say this because I sound crazy, but from the outer beyond or the whatever. But sometimes you have to speculate. Sometimes you have to like reach out and go outside yourself to find meanings of life because that's what everybody wants, is the meaning of life, or the meaning of afterlife. Actually, is what a lot of people want, but we won't know that
One of
unless
the things I
we've gone
find
there.
curious. One of the things I find curious is when we had taken out Saddam Hussein and all that. One of the things our military did was raid a lot of those Saudi and Arabian museums, and I think they got a lot of that
That
old world.
that wasn't only the military. That was actually the rebels of that country, and they destroyed. Okay, this is a classic thing that happens. What happens is Solomon's temple. It was destroyed. You destroy the history you do not like. This is why the Smithsonian goes into these archaeological sites of anything pre-Christopher Columbus, or in the Americas, or otherwise, like pre-Christopher Columbus. Smithsonian goes in, takes out anything that they can. If sometimes they can't, because quite frankly they're way too they're monuments. You can't really disassemble monuments.
We've stolen the pyramids.
yeah, exactly. You can't do that in all of them. In some cases, they try to bury them.
Right.
Like in the Midwest, they try to bury pyramids. Here in the Midwest, and in the Grand Canyon, they just made it off limits.
Dude, like 90% of it is off limits.
What do you think that is?
Because of the Egyptian stuff that they found there?
Yes, exactly. But there is they can't do that in all cases. History on Earth is a great. I think it's on National Geographic, but yeah, that's a great little docu-series that you can follow along on National Geographic. It might be, I could be wrong about that channel, but yeah, they he's like, the academics want to cover up anything that will prove them wrong.
That's kind of lame. Hey,
but it's true.
We have a report from the field, a little bit off topic, but since Just Jim is out in the chat and he's got a report from the field, he said he found the new paint job for President's Day for the current resident. You guys ready to see it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Dude, how much of a slap in the face was that for Joe Biden to go to the Ukraine instead of go see the people in Ohio? Oh man, what'd I do with my coffee? I think I left my coffee outside. I'll be right back.
Don't misplace your coffee.
It wasn't that much of a stretch for Joe Biden.
No, it really wasn't.
Kiev was his stop when he's vice president. Look at his vice presidency.
Right.
It wasn't. All right. He rode a train. Okay, look at his Amtrak. This little Amtrak thing that he did with the Amtrak. When my son got out of college, I made him the vice president of Amtrak, or whatever that was. Was it the vice president? I believe it was the vice president at Amtrak, because I drove Amtrak from every day from Delaware to Washington D.C. to Amtrak.
Right.
Yeah, there's an old train thing here going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody, not nobody, but a lot of people really didn't pick up on that freaking train thing. That kind of with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, they didn't pick up on that freaking old Amtrak thing from how long ago was that, G-Ross? 5, 6, 7 years ago?
It was, yeah.
It was years. But Amtrak, look up Amtrak and Joe Biden.
Yep.
Nobody picked up that. Yeah. Well, not
That's a
that
very
we.
good point. I hadn't even thought of it until you said it.
So I got a question I wanted to ask you, G. Ross. I forgot to ask it.
Mhm.
So when it comes to these animal sacrifices, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember Adam and Eve making sacrifices, but their kids did.
Well, you're saying Cain made Abel a sacrifice?
No, Abel was
No.
bringing animal sacrifices, and Cain was bringing grain sacrifices.
But I don't remember Adam and Eve making sacrifices.
Yeah, I don't remember that either. But now I'm going to go a little bit extra biblical. But they say maybe that knife that Abram used was a hand-me-down, and it was possibly misused by Cain, and it was Adam's sacrificial knife that he had in the family that he used. They say, but that's not in the Bible.
Huh.
Redact it from the Bible, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you were saying earlier, Norm, where we don't get everything in the Bible, like it's missing some stuff, but there's enough there that you can use it as a guidepost to read like other books, like Book of Enoch and stuff like that.
Exactly, but I'm not saying just the Bible. I'm saying history in general, but yeah, you're correct. But I'm saying redact it because why do you? But look at today's when you do like a request for like information from yeah, it's redacted.
Oh, I left something out from our field reporter, just Jim. He says they renamed it to the Azov Force One.
You redacted that information too?
I redacted that too. The Azov Force One. That got Yoda. Yoda, you said something really interesting about how we don't see Adam and Eve performing animal sacrifices, but we do see Abel bringing them.
Right.
That reminds me that they may not have known how to do sacrifices. First of all, they didn't need to at first, but then when they were naked, they covered themselves with plants, and all of a sudden God produces these animal skins, and some people talk about that as the first animal sacrifice.
Okay.
A loincloth is the
Had to come from the skin of an animal.
Yeah. So yeah, because at first they were fig leaves, and then they become loin. So you muted, Gira.
No, I wasn't talking. I'm reading Just Jim's 141 Gold Pills. He says, the Ukrainian States of America.
Pretty much.
Yep. But it's all really interesting, but I think history has been redacted.
Yeah.
Very much so. But it's been redacted for not our benefit, but for the benefit of maybe historians that don't want to, like, okay, when historians have to rewrite history, they have to basically say, well, they were wrong. And there's ego there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ego when someone has to say, well, I was kind of wrong about history, or about anything, actually.
Well, let's take Rome. Let's take Rome for instance. All right. At one point, a lot of the architecture was phenomenal, right?
Yes.
Then
most points, not one point, most points. The aqueduct, the Colosseum, yeah.
When they got later into
phenomenal.
When they got later into their culture in the later years, somehow they lost their ability to have the same quality of architecture. And I've seen videos of them pointing out stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
Well,
me personally, I think that
is that
there was a
arrogance or reductance of the people passing the are passing down the knowledge to the apprentices?
now some people think that they weren't the ones that originally built the stuff.
Mm.
And so like when you go over the Bible, there's a lot of things that I think are left out on purpose. Like a lot of these societies that built. I mean, dude, I don't know if you guys have shared or
But
went onto any of the Tatarian stuff, but when you see
yeah,
some of the architecture, I mean,
well,
it's some of the sculptures. Some of these
Totalitarian
sculptures look like somebody was just frozen in time.
Right.
Totalitarian is something completely different, according um, to what I've studied. But I could be wrong. But a Totalitarian is just communistic. That's communism. Totalitarian suppression is communism, in my opinion. By the way,
I can
that's
see that.
only my opinion from my studies of Totalitarian culture. But I can see how arrogant the the uh, the person teaching the apprentice was. Were I'm not gonna teach you this until you're ready, and they died before
Right.
they're the the person that was teaching the apprentice died before they were ready to learn the stuff,
I can see that.
and then they had to translate it from their encoded um, diaries or whatever, and they're like, oh, this is what I translate, and they translated it either completely wrong because I can see that from our culture because our culture is doing the freaking same thing to our our next generation because the next generation is idiots in the, the elders' minds, and I can see that growing older.
Yeah, because
And
even now they're trying to redefine history to suit a narrative when you
well,
can't change history. History
well
just
now
is what it is.
now it's different. They're just redefining it to to suit because the arrogance there is an arrogance there, and that's the ego. Um,
Oh, G Ross,
yeah.
earlier you were asking about is there a gut chakra?
Yeah.
That's your third chakra,
Okay.
and it it has to do with ego and a couple of other things. I had it
Okay.
pulled up, but hold on real quick.
Yeah, ego, pathos, and lycos, and whatever. Neptos.
So your gut chakra, that's your solar plexus. It has to do with strength, ego, power, self-esteem, things of that nature.
But okay, so in the Greek there was I saw dumpy, not dumpy, sorry,
Dumpy.
dumpy. Sorry. All
Dumpy.
right, so mentioned the Greeks. So there's neptos. So maybe they transferred the knowledge down to their families and told them not to share it with the rest of the world because they didn't trust anybody else. And there's a trust issue there too.
Well, are you going to hand
Uh,
all your goodies
yeah,
down to
yeah, yeah.
Rome when they start invading?
Yeah, but there's also a trust issue with the like I said, the apprentice,
Yeah.
where you're transferring down this knowledge, and and if it's from father to son, when it's nepotism, neptos, and
Right.
other than anything else, and they're like saying, keep this family, like keep this recipe in the family, you know, but don't pass it down to the anybody else but the family.
Right.
Like, well, and you could say the same thing with the Gentiles or whatever.
Hey, we've got
genre.
barbecues, barbecue sauce that's a family secret for generations, right? So that still happens.
Yeah, look at Calgon, Ancient Chinese Secret.
Right.
That reminds me of the big. Hey, you remember the baked bean commercial where the guy that runs the company and it's his dog?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's saying his dog isn't going to give up the secret, but then you see the dog in the background trying to give it up.
Yeah, Labrador or whatever. Yeah, but seriously, but what if that's what history is all about? And
Me personally, I don't think they made the suit.
no, I'm not talking about that.
So we've hit on 2 of the 3 topics I hoped we would. There's one other that I can't. I was most fascinated by the floating oven floating between the animals, the cut pieces of the animals. Do you guys have any
I didn't
thoughts
quite
about
understand that one either.
The butcher or the baker, yeah.
I can get like a lantern or something, but why would they call it a floating oven?
I mean, I'm calling it that. It was the word for an oven, like a portable camp stove that appeared in between them. I think the torch is the only part that walks through, but it may be that the oven walks through too. I was a little fuzzy on that. But there's a ghost lantern that walks through the animal parts. Now, I picked up over the years from listening to other people.
That could be a blowtorch that just melts the fat off the meat. I don't
And this
know.
was why he was asleep, right?
He had night terrors, basically. This was like 3 a.m. Maybe it was a dream. I take it as he woke up and saw it, but, I could see people saying, yeah, he just dreamed it. But he definitely set the animals out. Now, normally, when you're going to make a big contract like that, and I forget where I read this, but I read this a couple places, like if you and I are making a contract, we're going to cut the animals in half, and we'll both walk through. And that somehow binds the contract.
I believe it was the aliens that were
yes, slaughtering the cows, mutilating them.
Hold on.
Yeah, this is clearly
probably. All right, so we would like to apologize for the we were just trying to figure out how you guys make a tri-tip. We didn't realize you rub it all in the meat. Yeah. Gosh. So embarrassing to admit this, but yeah, you guys were just rubbing really? We dissected that cow like in so many different ways. And you guys were just like rubbing on spices. That's all you were doing. You guys, whatever.
But secret spices, Hankton.
It was garlic, herbs, and yeah. All right, Colonel Sanders. All right, whatever.
Right. Colonel Sanders taught us that it was secret spices.
All right.
That was awesome.
Sorry.
So this was the original otherworldly cattle mutilation in the Bible.
Yeah. No. Sorry. I had.
No, it really is. It fits.
Yeah. No, I had to put that in there. But
that's awesome.
You like my sticker I created for it?
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I don't have any answers and I don't really have any questions, but to me,
no, I really all that I said was just speculation.
Speculative,
sort of. It was not really serious. So don't.
But I mean, I don't know if there has to be. I mean, it's clearly, I think the story makes it clear that it's just otherworldly, right? It's just some kind of ghost shows up. So God makes a deal with Abram, and he floats a torch through the animal.
I thought it was Colonel Sanders, but
Right.
whatever.
But I mean,
his mustache kind of scared him.
So,
all right, whatever.
Let me get geopolitical for a second and get myself into some hot water. But I think I'm in a somewhat safe zone to say weird things out loud. That map we were showing earlier, which has been fought about for thousands of years, was ratified by a floating torch. I mean, that's your sales pitch. Abram shows up, says, "This land is mine. I know because I had a dream about a floating torch." I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Lady of the Lake throwing out swords.
That's
yeah.
You just made me realize.
Yeah. Is that any way of government? Some
now,
watery tide coming out of the lake, throwing a sword at you is no means of government.
That's a really good point. Now, I think the rest of the story, as we've read it so far, and we will keep reading, Abram does well, right? He keeps rescuing local kings, changing their. You know, I was taking our work on Kedorlaomer from the last couple of weeks, and I was writing it up as a possible sermon in case one's needed. And I realized Lot and Abram's proximity might have inspired the king of Sodom and his friends to stop paying tribute to Elam, to Kedorlaomer over in Elam.
Well,
never occurred to me.
The other thing, though, what I was talking about earlier, you still got people in the Middle East fighting over Abram's two sons and which ones, has God's blessing and whatnot.
Right.
And what we've been going over these last couple of weeks about Abram and Lot and these different battles that they were in. I mean, to this day, even Middle Easterns have mad respect for Abraham.
Right.
So, I mean, this goes back to what we've been talking about. How was he able to develop that level of respect? And he's walking with kings.
Right.
And then you fast forward thousands of years, and he still has that level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much in the Christian community, but go to the Middle East and see if you don't see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and which of the two sons was born first?
It was Isaac and Ishmael.
So Ishmael was born first, but he was born out of wedlock, essentially.
Right.
But he was firstborn.
But that goes back to Pippin and what was Pippin's brother's name? And Charlemagne. Pippin's son, Charlemagne's son, Pippin, and why can't I remember his freaking
20 seconds from now, Duppy will put it in the chat.
Yeah.
I hope.
but that goes back to Pippin was born out of wedlock, which was actually a retard in one story, and according to Kitty's godfather, Stephen Schwartz, he was like sexual deviant.
Let me add this to the controversy. Me and my son's mother, we were never married. I consider him to be my firstborn son.
Right. I would say so. Yeah.
He doesn't have my last name, but that could always be changed. Like, keep in mind, I didn't know I had a son until he was 4.5. Now, had I known back then, he would have had my last name. But when it comes to the argument of Isaac and Ishmael, I get the whole married and, first child and all that. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, they were allowed to have concubines back then.
Yeah, but my point is, it wouldn't matter to me if I was married or not married.
Right.
But back then, okay. Okay, Pippin was I want to say mentally challenged. Um, and so he was embarrassment to the family, but
Right.
the father still loved him.
I'm not sure
Char-
who. I'm not sure who we're talking about.
Charlemagne, are you familiar with the
I remember the
Charlemagne?
name Charlemagne, but I can't remember why.
Okay. Okay, Stephen Sondheim completely fucked up the story of Pippin, but Charlemagne had an illegitimate son named Pippin. That
Why
was
am I? Who remind us who Charlemagne is?
the first Holy Roman. Okay, when the Roman Empire was deteriorating, he moved. He moved Rome to Istanbul, and it became Constantinople. Istanbul was Constantinople. Okay, so um, I'm not sure I can do this with this many beers in me, but the beginning of the Holy Roman Empire, because Charlemagne was the first Christian Roman Empire, or he Christian Roman emperor.
I thought that was Constantine.
Constantine definitely was pro-Christian, right?
Yeah,
Towards the
but
end, he believed in. I don't want to say pagan. He was more into
help me out here, G-Ross. I'm too drunk to. Uh, but
I think Yoda knows as more probably.
all right,
he he,
so
he
yeah,
converted. He converted towards the.
you are correct, but Charlemagne and Constantine are either related
I think
or
Charlemagne was a little bit later. Let's look that up. I'm just gonna cheat.
maybe probably you are correct probably.
Because Constantine had the Council of Nicaea. That's how we have our Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He
so he's
converted
like,
I'm a little too drunk to explain the story
that's
because
because
fair.
he was
I
condemning.
just know it from the Stephen Sondheim musical.
Because at one point, Constantine was condemning Christians to death. And then towards the end of his
Yeah,
life, he converted.
and then Charlemagne was one of his. I
He was
don't
a
know.
little bit later. He was Carolingian dynasty.
Yeah, I just know it from the Stephen Sondheim musical, so
Right.
which is probably fabricated because so was Godspell, which he also wrote. So
Fair.
not Sondheim. Was it Stephen Schwartz?
Stephen Schwartz.
Yeah, not Sondheim. Sorry.
Right on.
I'm a little too drunk to actually explain. To
That's all right. I think we got enough. It's
yeah.
he's the. Did he? So he moved. You're saying he moved it though, right? Is he the one that moved it to Istanbul?
Constantine moved it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, Black Yoda is right. But Charlemagne was when it was in Constantinople, not Istanbul.
Okay.
But Constantine actually was the one that went out to the Saxia and all those places that the Vikings were sacking and trying to make them Christian, trying to make the Druids Christian. So,
Right.
but yeah, that worked. Yeah, flawlessly. No, it didn't. Um, it didn't work flawlessly, but yeah, I've had too many beers to actually go into this, but yeah,
No, we got enough. That's good.
but you guys know enough history to know what I'm saying.
I think we've caught up. Yep.
Hopefully, yeah, especially with Duppy helping out with the Duppy files, because no, he's good at that.
Yeah, agreed.
Damn it! I left my coffee outside again. Hold on.
No, I'm sorry. I'm.
Hey, this is a late show, Norm.
I
These things will
love this
happen.
stuff, and it's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? No,
It is.
For me it is, but maybe not for everybody.
Oh, it's now Thursday for me. Here, let me let the dog out. Hang on.
Who? She lost. Let the
Exactly.
dogs out. Sorry. No, sorry. I love history and I love all the stuff you guys are talking about. But no, after this beer, I'm going to bed. But what I'm saying is kind of, yeah, right, but kind of maybe wrong. But and I see I see all the stickers in the chat.
Hey, G. Ruff. I was looking at something earlier today, and they were basically asking, why do you have these groups of people that are so hell bent on supporting abortion and killing babies, right?
Yeah.
And they were pointing out how back during Moses' time, you had people that would sacrifice babies for various reasons. And then you fast forward to when Jesus was born,
Right.
and they were killing a lot of babies
Mm-hmm.
because they were trying to stop, the coming of Christ, right?
Right.
And so
Okay.
as I'm watching this, I'm thinking about Planned Parenthood and how they've killed like 65 million babies through abortion.
History is redacted, Stephen.
Yeah, I get that. And so,
And
but the
why
thing
would
that
they
was
want to
pointing out,
put that in the history? Why
the
would
Well,
thing
but
they?
that
they're trying
was,
to. They do kill a lot of babies though throughout history. I think that's I'm pretty sure they do.
well, what this thing was pointing out was currently you have people that are pro-abortion and killing babies, and they were trying to point out, if we were to have another coming Christ currently, like say we are in the end times right now,
Right.
it would kind of explain why they're so pro-abortion. And when I say they, I'm talking
Ooh,
about
interesting.
Luciferians and stuff like that.
Well,
You know what I
no,
mean?
I know you were trying to get their pronouns correct. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, you want to hear something disgusting? This actually pissed me off. A couple, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I went
Why are
down
you
to vision.
asking us? What?
Listen. Yesterday, I went down to Vision Works to do an eye exam to get some new glasses and a new prescription and whatnot. And I'm filling out the form: name, address, today's date, your date of birth, blah blah blah. And then there's a box that says gender/pronouns. And I just looked up at Bernie because she's sitting at the table next to me, right? As I'm filling out this form, and it just really irritated me that they're entertaining this pronoun shit.
Right.
You know what you do? You cross them out and put mentally deranged people.
No,
I crossed them out and said, "This is for mentally deranged people."
Right.
Actually, I've had I can't remember. Damn it, I can't remember exactly what I put, but I put something like, "This is for mentally deranged people," and I put like there is a like actually in the psychology dictionary what
Right.
they are referred to.
Oh, dysphoria or something.
Gender dysphoria. Yeah, I said this is for gender dysphoria people, which are mentally distraught. I just write
Right.
down like this whole little thing, and I haven't been called out on it yet. But
Nice. So
I
what is
remember-
ballsy?
I haven't
Yeah.
done it in a couple. But yeah,
That's awesome. You're out there fighting the fight. That's awesome.
But if you put it in really small font, they will have to use a magnifying glass to read it. But
So our very good friend Duppy has two pronouns you see in the chat. He goes by two. Sometimes he goes by bite me, and other times he goes by eat shit.
yeah,
I think it's pretty good. What is Ballsy asking? He says, "What are you doing about not killing babies?" Global question. I couldn't figure that one out.
well, unfortunately, unless we're elected into the well, not commerce, but elected into
Right.
the thing, we can't do anything but to write our elected leaders in.
We could pray too.
Yeah, you could pray, but you can rate your elected.
Yeah, we should do both.
It's not like what. Yeah, because we can only do what we can do.
Right.
Did
I
you
think
guys,
you could protest.
Did you
I'm
guys
not a big
see?
fan, but
Did you guys see about the lady somewhere in Europe?
yeah, in England.
They declare these safe spaces, and one in particular was right outside of this abortion clinic, and she was just standing there with her eyes closed, and somebody complained because they thought she was praying, and so their constables or whatever you want to call their police came up to her and asked her, and they arrested her because she's praying inside of a safe space and it might offend other people. They legit arrested her for this, right?
And all she was really doing was closing her eyes for all they knew.
Well, no, she admitted that she was saying a little prayer.
Right.
That for the last 20 years or so, she's always walking past that building and she always says a little prayer, you know? And just about a week, maybe a week and a half ago, she beat her court case.
Oh, she
Now-
won?
Now, I don't know if she just flat out beat it or if it just threw it out.
After she'd been in jail for how long?
I don't know if she was locked up for that whole time. But it's just asinine that it would even go that far.
Yeah, it is.
Well, of course it is.
Yep.
But there is a mental there used to be anyway. It's probably taken out now.
Well, they
But no,
updated it.
When I saw that gender/pronoun on the form, it irritated me. I looked up at Bernie, and she knows I'm irritated. She just doesn't know why. So she was like, "What?" And so I show her the form, and she just shook her head, bro, because she gets it,
Right.
you know. And I just wrote male, you know, and just
Yeah.
left it alone. And I remember another time, I was in my mid-20s. I was filling out an application for a job, and it was at a temp agency. And the part where you fill in your name, there's always that box that says maiden name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just left it empty. And so I turned in my paper to the lady, and she was like, "You forgot to fill out this box." And I was like, "I'm not a maiden."
Right.
And she was like, "It doesn't matter. You still have to fill it out."
What?
And I
That
was
makes
like,
no sense.
I was like, "You do know what a maiden is, right?" I was like, "A maiden name is what your last name is before you get married and change it. When I get married, I'm not changing my name. I'm not a maiden." And she is just persistent. You got to fill
Wow.
it out.
NA, non-applicable. And
Right.
I used to make databases. I don't know if she was like trying to fill it out for a freaking database.
Yeah, but surely they have a way
But yeah, I used
to do null.
Yeah, if you left it blank, it said non-applicable.
Right.
Basically, it automatically filled non-applicable. When I
Well,
made databases, I made databases that were, I was the database architect. Were okay.
What was your
I
favorite query language?
MySQL. Well, actually, I did this in FileMaker, but it was
Nice.
yeah.
I remember
But
that stuff.
FileMaker was my favorite. No, that's easy because yeah, I love the GUI. But
Yeah.
okay, so but I really transferred to MySQL. But you made it like default to non-applicable if you left it blank,
Right.
unless it was required. You had it
Right.
required, but if it was not required, you left it non-app. You left it like not. Oh God, never mind.
Well,
Do you know?
where it was
You know what I'm
capable to
talking
be,
about?
it could be empty, right? You could leave it where it could be empty.
well, at the time, I
Yeah. But
didn't think that
it said non-applicable. It would automatically fill non-applicable. NA. N/A.
Right.
If that was my FileMaker Pro shit that I did. But G-Ross, are you familiar with like Claris and all this?
A little bit.
Yeah, but I've been working with that for 20. I've been working with Claris for 20 years, which made like MySQL and all the tables all very easy after 5 because 5. Yeah, after FileMaker 5,
Right.
you had tables, but I could connect the FileMaker, or I can connect the database tables. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And this is a written form.
Right. How'd you end up on that one, Yoda? Like, did you just walked away from that desk? Just ignored that lady.
It was a temp agency. So the fact that she was being so persistent, in my head, I was just thinking to myself, is she effing with me?
Right.
Is she trying to see if the kind of person that can get along with fellow coworkers or something? Like, I'm like,
Right.
why is she being so persistent about this?
Right.
Does she not know?
Is this a
Yeah.
test? Is what you're
Right.
thinking. Is this a test? Yeah.
So
And
So I was just like, you know what? It's not a big deal. I'm not going to let my pride get in the way on this one. And so I just wrote Turner, like
Yeah.
I just put down my last name. And when I handed her back the form, she knew I was pissed. You know what I mean? Like, because to me, you're asking me to do something that I know is wrong. Right.
Right.
And then you fast forward to today, and the level of stupid is just, it's gone past overboard at this point.
You know, our 17th president was our 17th or 18th? It was our 18th president, I believe. Was Ulysses Simpson Grant. Do you know why his name was Ulysses Simpson Grant?
Why?
Because his mother and father were not married. And Ulysses was his middle name by his father, or by first name by his father, his middle name by his mother. Simpson was not his middle name. Simpson was his mother's maiden name. And Grant was his father's last name. So, as Simpson I can't do this right now because I'm drunk.
Well, no, I didn't know that.
U.S. Grant, Ulysses S. Grant. Simpson was not his middle name. Ulysses was actually his middle name. His first name was like sort of a B. Gosh, I can't think of his first name, but
Yeah, let me look it up.
but okay. So his mother and father were not married until he was 16. His mother had custody of him, and then his mother said he's too out of control. Take care of him, and his father sent him to West Point military school, basically.
Right.
You can look it up. Sorry, I can't.
I think
but
Duppy is mentioning what you're talking about, which is the elites use maiden names for middle names a lot, which we've been learning in the Duppy files.
Yeah, but U.S. Grant, Ulysses Simpson Grant,
Mm-hmm.
because his mother's name was Simpson, his father's name was Grant. But his mother had custody of him until he was like 16, until he got too out of. He went through puberty, basically, like most boys do. And his father sent him to West Point, became a freaking one of the greatest generals of all time, became a U.S. president, for God's sake. And but I'm sorry. I've been drinking. I'm drunk. I can't think of freaking history right now. But
It's okay. Well, we can start drawing down the topics. Anything else we want to throw in? We covered the text pretty well. Covered the main story beats that I wanted to hit. You guys hit them automatically.
I'm sorry I didn't do my studying.
Chapter
either.
16 next week.
Okay, sure.
This is saying that his first name was Hiram.
Yeah, Hiram. Hiram. Okay.
Oh, that's a nice Freemason name.
Hiram. Okay, could you imagine? Hiram Ulysses Simpson was his name.
No wonder he becomes president.
Or no, Hiram Ulysses Simpson was his original name. And then his father took custody of him when he was 16, sent him to West Point, and he became Ulysses S. Grant. Simpson Grant. But Simpson was never his. Yeah.
Well, G. Ross, you were married when you started having kids, so you never had to deal with that. It was never really important to me.
Yeah.
Like my parents, they were never married, but I still have my father's last name.
But U.S. Grant.
That's
So
a
that
made
was
up name.
that was the 18th president.
That's a very good point you brought up, Stephen. I think I'm trying to think how many people I know. A lot of times what would happen back in the day and even these days, a lot of times people get married after they have kids. Like, their kid gets, they have a kid, their kid's like 2 or 3, and they eventually get around to getting married. But they don't always. Some people never get married.
Or common law married, which means you live together for 7 years, which I know very well. But once you live together for 7 years, you're pretty much married. and then you go through the motions of the ceremony because
You
it
know,
feels right.
I don't know if I would ever get married because I don't want the state involved in my life like that.
You know,
Well,
I thought
it's
about
not only the state; it's the sharing.
Well, right, but some people
But
have traced back that some of our problems are when we let the state decide what is and isn't marriage. Why did
well,
we let them into that?
exactly, and why should they get half after 10 years of marriage?
Right. Right.
Especially when you're already divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had friends that have felt like when my first marriage, I had to fight like hell to get out of it before
Right.
the 10 years.
Yeah.
I had to fight like hell because
Wow.
she could have got my pension. I actually sold off my 401k. I actually like took my 401k in early and I sacrificed my retirement. And when I say sacrifice my
Mm-hmm.
retirement, I did sacrifice my retirement
Right.
when my first marriage. Um, and um, and it's not because I didn't love her, but it's because of what she did
Right.
after allegedly we couldn't have a child together.
Right.
Wait,
There, there's so many variables involved.
Right.
did
But
she have the surgery to not have kids?
no, the kids didn't. She kept on getting fucking vaccinated, which is why I'm so sorry for my language. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fair.
She kept on getting vaccinated
Yeah.
when she was pregnant,
Oh.
and I was like, "That's okay." Let me explain to you how science works. I said this like very stupidly, and she felt like I was mansplaining it to her, but
Right.
it's like when you take a vaccination, that's an explement of all every. You should not take a vaccine. And she said her pediatrician, which was a woman, told her to do it, and I
Ugh.
went to her freaking pediatrician. I said, "You are wrong," and I was like, "Why do you think all your freaking patients have miscarriages?"
Wow.
What was she getting
And
vaccinated with?
no, this is 10 years ago. This is
I
over
know,
10 years.
What was
but what
the
was she
This
getting
is
was it
just a
like
vaccinated?
flu shot. It was
wow.
basically a flu shot. And
Wow.
no, I was fucking pissed. No, sorry, I didn't mean
No, you're
to
good.
swear.
You're good.
And I told her, "No, you are wrong. You are
Yeah.
wrong. Your science is wrong. You don't know fucking science. I study science recreationally, and you study science academically, and you." No, sorry. Okay. Okay. I don't mean to make the neighbor. Sorry. I'm talking to G. Ross and Blackout. I'll keep it down. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. All right. Sorry.
You got busted.
All right. Sorry. I got a little too heated right there.
No.
Uh,
Well, in all fairness, this is why you got divorced. So I mean, it makes sense
yeah.
that you'd be
No.
upset.
No. And yeah, I lost a kid, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. I apologize for you. And yeah. I,
Well, what about now?
but
Did she
no.
ever have kids? Do you know?
What?
Has
No.
she since?
I said, what about now? Did she ever have kids? Do you know?
She adopted.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
When Kitty took part in some. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna tell Kitty's story, but Kitty probably won't have kids.
fair.
So all women over have kids.
Wait, you don't have any kids?
I really don't want to talk about it, but yeah, no.
You know,
She
we are all
she
caretaking the next generation from every
she
angle.
I wanted to be a father. I did. I
Well, you
did.
have an option of adopting too. You know that, right?
Didn't we go through this once?
I don't
I
remember.
I
I
think we
do.
did this once.
I do, but I it's too late in my life.
I think we went through this, and I'm not saying we can't do it again, but we did cover this
Yeah. I
like
I,
a couple months
yeah.
ago.
Yeah. It's too late for me. And I've realized that.
No, it's fair, Norm. There's nothing I could say. So I've raised one child.
Mhm.
Having done it, I would say to you, well, he's 12. I mean, he's practically on his own. You know how they get.
Yeah.
But having done it, and I'd be curious what Steven thinks. Like, it really is important to me to convey to you that everyone contributes to the next generation from every angle. My
Yeah.
kids are your kids.
Mhm.
You know, they're going to hear you talking and teaching. I only have one, but, anybody's kids are anybody else's kids. As much as I hate Hillary Clinton and the idea of the village,
I
it's true.
I've
But I know
tried.
that's not going to help you.
I no. I've been through this before, and
Yeah.
I've tried to adopt. Yeah.
No,
I
I
don't want.
got it.
I don't
But
want to do
you're
it
adding
again.
value to civilization with or without offspring is my point. And that's you're pouring into the next gen.
I care, but
Yeah.
I
You're
I've
yeah.
I've given up.
No, I get it.
I've had enough heartbreak.
No, I get it.
I mean, a lot of heartbreak, and I freaking don't want to do it anymore. I
No,
don't.
your
I had a
trajectory
neighbor.
right now. Yeah.
I had
Go
a
ahead.
neighbor that had the cutest little girl. And every time I went to Tuesday mornings, and that store is kind of like a smaller version of Bed Bath and Beyond, and I would make all kind of excuses to go to this store, right? And eventually, I might find my way to the toy section. I'd buy her something, and I had so much love for this little girl. She made me want to have a little girl of my own, you know. And I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I'm in my 40s. I don't know if I got the patience for that. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
because like when my son was a little guy, man, from the moment I got up to like 10 o'clock at night, I'm doing breakfast, I'm doing laundry, I'm, taking them to school, going to work, picking them up, prepping for dinner, and it was just me and him. So it was like, you have to have youth on your side to, keep that kind of routine, right?
Not necessarily, but it, when you lost it so many times,
Yeah. No,
it
that's
just
legit.
wasn't meant. It just wasn't meant for you.
That's legit.
No. I've had enough heartbreak. I don't want to do it anymore. I
I'm with
don't.
that.
I
I'm
don't
with
want to
that.
do it anymore. Sorry.
No, it's completely fair.
Yeah. I will say this much. Out of all the women I've been with, Evelyn is the one person I never asked about it, period. And I would always ask girls about it because I know how ovulation works, you know? And
Do
Science.
you? Science. Science.
right? But
She
no, if it
blinded
wasn't
me with. You just gave me like a different version of. She blinded me with a different, like, mind blowing. Yeah. Why Thomas Dolby wrote that song?
But no, I mean, when I found out that I had a son and I told my family about it, up until that point, I was the last Turner in my family, right? Uh, my uncle he's older than my father, but he has two stepboys that are twins and his daughter. My cousin is the oldest grandchild, but that was my aunt that had him. So technically, I was the last Turner. And my family thought I would never have kids. And so when I told them about it, everybody was all excited and we can't wait to meet him. But I'm glad, watching him grow up over the years and becoming the young man that he's became, right? He's got a good head on his shoulders. He thinks like a conservative, right?
Logically. No, he just thinks logically. well, Democrats think emotionally, and conservatives think logically. And
No, he's a smart
I
kid.
agree with that.
Yeah, he's a smart kid. And I'm looking forward to the day that he has grandkids. I'm just not ready for it. You know what I mean?
You
And
probably will
sometimes
be.
he'll call me and talk to me about, different stresses in his life. And I remember one time in particular, after he got finished venting, I was like, Julian, I was like, think about everything that you told me just now. Now, add the burden of having a kid to all of that and having to deal with raising a
Ooh,
kid
yeah.
with all of those different stresses. You know what I mean? And so he gets it. He's careful about it, you know? But there's a lot to be said about having a kid. It really, like, even like my roommate Bernie G. Ross,
Yep.
he calls her grandma.
Nice.
you know?
I,
Listen, as long as
I,
we have 2.1 on average per household, we're golden.
I was ready to have a kid, and yeah, I will never have one. I've accepted that, but I I have accepted the fact that I will never have a kid. And but after the loss of
Mm-hmm.
that, I've accepted it. But I was ready and I wanted it. I
That's
wanted it,
fair.
but I will never have one.
It's
Well,
totally
that's
me.
what Abraham thought. And look what happened to him.
Yeah.
He got visited by the ghost flame.
Well, that's what the father John the Baptist thought.
Right.
He couldn't talk, and yeah, but I I I've accepted the fact that I will never have a kid, but now I am. I
Well,
mean,
I'm sorry to hear about
I'm
that, man.
I'm there, but yeah,
Yep.
but it's fine.
For some reason, I just thought you had kids. I don't remember having this conversation with you.
I think that
I
time Norm was drinking coffee and you were having a lot of beer, Yoda.
I've had
That's why you don't remember. Because I do remember it.
Mm.
I've I I've lost the opportunity,
Well, what
and
happened? What happened when you were trying to do adoption? How come that didn't go through?
grief and bitterness.
Yeah.
Um, we were already on our outs.
Yeah.
I can't really explain it,
No, it's fair.
we've had adoption, and And then the one that we almost adopted pretty much killed herself. And
Oh, shit.
before we got there, and
I do not
realized
know what to say to that.
what I've never told anybody that.
Wow.
She killed herself.
Hmm.
How old was she?
I really don't want to talk about it.
That's fair.
It wasn't intentional.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Right.
It was
Accidental.
no, it wasn't
No, it's fine. You don't have to.
accidental. I don't want to fucking talk about it.
I
But
would suggest that because there's been a good amount of alcohol and it's late at night, we should stop pressing Yoda. Probably.
yeah,
No, that's fine. I was just curious. That's all.
No, it's fair. Well, why don't we contemplate some kind of 5 minutes of light mood something before I start. I will have to get a nap in soon. I got to go into the building tomorrow.
I have to go to work tomorrow too. But.
Yeah. Let's
Hey,
make
what
fun of
happened to
Biden.
Pete Daggett? Where is he
Yeah,
at?
I sent him a DM because I'm like, clockwork, something's up, you know. So I sent him a DM. He hasn't replied. Hopefully he's just doing something fun.
Well, there's not a lot of topic to go over for what you read tonight.
No, we covered the 3 main points.
But talking about I always forget how to pronounce her name. The maid that's coming up in the story.
I usually say Hagar.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting conversation.
Oh,
Because
yeah, there's some cool stuff there.
Because the debate still goes on as to who carries, God's promise, Isaac or Ishmael. And I'm even conflicted on how to answer that one because even though my son is born out of wedlock, I would still consider him my firstborn.
I jumped the gun earlier. Duppy pointed out in ancient times before the Catholic Church, firstborn doesn't have to be. It could be a concubine, not a problem. And I kind of retracted that as I was saying that. So I think he would have counted. But God, a lot of times God flips first and second, like Jacob and Esau. Jacob came out second, but then they flipped it.
Well, no, didn't Esau do some trickery to get that blessing?
No, Jacob did the trickery. His name means usurper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Esau came out first. Jacob grabbed his ankle to try to be like literally as they were coming out the birth canal, the story says he grabbed his ankle.
Wait, it's going to be a while before we get to their story, right?
Yeah, it'll be a while.
That is an interesting one.
I mean, it won't be that long. It'll probably be a few months.
Dude, this is going to take us forever just to get through Deuteronomy. You know what I mean?
But enjoy the scenery on the way. Like, we got some interesting things tonight. Next week, I'm going to do all of chapter 16, I think. Let me check. Just so I can give you guys your homework. 16, 1 through 16.
Enjoy the ride is what he's saying. Don't.
Let me go check.
So, yeah, I'm doing all of chapter 16. That's Sarai and Hagar when they first get when Sarai starts to be annoyed with Hagar.
Oh, wait, I'm looking at 18. Where did we leave off tonight?
We did all of 15 tonight. So
wait, no.
16
The fan turned my page. Never mind.
The Holy Spirit turned your page.
16 in mine is broken up into sections.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Here, I'll catch up with you there.
Because the end of 16 is when they say Hagar bears a son.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, Sarah basically acts crazy in this chapter.
Wouldn't you? At this point, they've been married for how many decades?
Sarah came up with the idea.
Well, that dude. So you know what? I was about to say something not proper. So all right. So a while back, um, my girlfriend worked at this nightclub,
Uh-oh.
and she calls me one night, and she was like, "Hey, do you mind if I bring Estrella home tonight?"
That's how it always starts.
And I was like, "Which one is Estrella?" And she was like, "She's the one that talks with the broken English." And I was like, "Hell yeah, bring her." You know what I mean? Now, granted, it was my girlfriend's idea. Do you
That's
know?
how they get you.
Do you know to this day she still hates me for that?
Yeah, because it's jealousy.
Right.
No, I know you never do that. Well, that's by experience. You do not let that happen
Right.
because jealousy. All right, so I
Now,
can't. I
there's
can't.
all kind of things that I can describe in this scenario, but I remember one of the last times I talked to her, she called me out of the blue, um, about a year or two ago, just random. I haven't talked to her in ages, right? She calls me out of the blue, and I'm like, "Hello?"
She's
She's
drunk
like,
and
"No,
she remembering she regrets.
no,
That,
no, no.
that,
Check
that,
it out."
that, uh,
She calls me out of the blue, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" The oddest thing, she was like, "Do you meditate?" And I was like, "I've been thinking about doing it, but it's a practice that I just put off." I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "You don't meditate?" And she's telling me how her life has changed, and she's more spiritual now. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And so we have that conversation, and out of nowhere, she makes the comment, "You know, I still hate you, right?" And I was like, "For what?" Because every time I think about you, sometimes I just think about you and Estrella and blah blah blah. And I just started laughing. I was like, "Look, you're the one that called me about that." You know what I mean?
Right.
yeah.
And it wasn't just one time, right? Like,
You never do a threesome because one of them. Oh no! All right, so this is for the chat, not for you, Steven, because I know you know this, but the threesome shit, it doesn't it doesn't work out. If one of them hates you forever,
Right.
and it's the one that like okay, there's one that thinks, oh, it's gonna be a good time, and then you get in a fight, and then the third one's like, who's gonna cook me breakfast? And yeah, no, I'm serious.
No, I believe you.
um, it may happen once, and it may be the you think it might be the greatest time of your life, and then afterwards, it doesn't. It just doesn't work out anymore after that. But
I mean,
Yeah.
how awkward do you think it was between Hagar and Sarah
yeah, no,
after that?
no,
You know what I mean?
it's an awkward thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
afterwards.
it's to the point where they we'll see in the next few chapters, Sarah treats her harsh.
Yeah.
And it spawned 1,000 years of warfare for the rest of time.
I remember about 10 years ago, I was
Either
learning.
one or both of them is jealous. It's so
Right.
freaking jealous, and most time it's both of them. They get in a fight. You feel awkward for being in the fucking middle of the fight, and then you're like, oh, I fucked up.
And she
But
was, you know what? You know what's funny?
in reality, it's not you that fucked up. It was the one that instigated the whole thing. And
So
I
when we were still together, she's arguing with me about this one day. And she was mad because she makes the comment, well, you don't be effing me like that. And I was like, look, it wasn't that I was excited to be with her. I was just excited about the situation in general. And I was like, what are you mad about? You were riding her face when I was doing it. Like, TMI, TMI.
It's
Yeah.
after midnight.
I can't let Kitty know about. So
Well, then we should stop talking.
yeah. Shut
I'm
up.
currently broadcasting to
All right,
the Wednesday night list, which includes all kind of channels. I should probably mention that more frequently than I do.
Next week ought to be interesting because that was awkward between the two of them.
Yeah.
And the one thing that Abraham wants the most, he finally gets. And anytime he showed pride with that boy, Sarah was just grinding her teeth. You know what I mean? Like,
scissoring. Yeah, no, I know what that means too. Yeah, but you can't. Gosh.
Well, let's get a nap in.
Yeah,
before work.
I need to work tomorrow.
Yeah, we do. We got a Bible study.
I don't want to be in part of this conversation because I might get in trouble again. Kitty's sleeping inside. And I've already woken her up.
Yeah, don't wake up. Don't wake up, Kitty.
Yeah, that makes her angry, Kitty. But I love you guys. I want to say that because
yes, that's a good practice, Norm. Love you too.
And
I love you guys as well. Chat.
But I'm sorry this went so sideways, guys.
No. We covered what we needed.
Oh yeah, but
it was the chapter 16 that brought it sideways. That's not our fault. That's in the Bible.
Okay. Yeah, blame it on the Bible.
Yeah. There's some racy stuff in there.
Dude, I tell people all the time.
Yep.
Forget TV, forget these movies. If you really want to be entertained, just go through the Bible because I promise you there's stories in there that pastors and preachers don't typically
they like to skip.
Read Leviticus.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We got to get through Genesis then Exodus.
No, I tell people that all the time. If you really want to be entertained, just history in general. Just take the time to learn about different things, and you'll be surprised.
But no, history is not a good thing for. Okay, history is not a good thing for us white folk colonizers because they think we
Hey, my people oppressed my people.
Yeah, my people oppressed my people too. Yeah, especially my grandfather that traded like my great grandfather that traded like wolf skins or no beaver pelts for his wife, the 24-year-old French trapper that traded beaver pelts for his 14-year-old wife to his her American Indian father,
right?
To make me eventually down the road,
right?
That my family was embarrassed about until my grandmother died, and I found out this history. Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell?
Right. Yeah, I started digging into some of our past, and I'm like,
what?
Wait, trading skins was like a way of life back then. What was wrong with that?
No, they traded it for one of the people.
Traded for my 14-year-old great grandmother, and he was 24 and she was 14, and so eventually it ended up to be me, and that was like an embarrassing story that I had no idea about until I was 24 myself. Uh, yeah. Um.
But we got you out of the deal, so it worked out.
Oh yeah. Well.
Nah, he was over there
Yeah,
like he was probably thinking, where can I get some Bieber skins?
but now yeah, now I'm like some sort of
You're a
white
mutt.
oppressionist from
Yep.
that, even though I have
How dare you?
more Indian blood in me for that than
Yep.
what's her name?
Then Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren, yeah.
Pocahontas.
Yeah. But that's the way it happened. That's actually the way it happened.
Right.
Well, we can't change the past. And when people, want to complain about the past and the things that took place, I've always been practical. Everything that took place in history, and you fast forward to the day of our birth or the day of our conception, all of those pieces were necessary mathematically to lead up to the day of your conception. So anything
That's
you
right.
change about history or your desire
Well,
to change anything about history could
today of
change your,
all of us
yeah.
here.
And I've always looked at it like that. Is there some messed up things that happen throughout history? Most definitely.
But
But you have to,
would I
but
have
you,
known you if that didn't happen? Would you have known me if
right,
if your history didn't happen? Would you have known me, or would I have known you?
exactly.
And would we be having this conversation or past conversations?
Right,
The
right.
butterfly.
We
Is that the
we've had
butterfly effect?
lots of past conversations,
Hmm.
and Stephen, I consider you a good friend of mine. I
I,
love you, man. I really do.
I know, bro. I love you too.
Yeah.
But no, I have a respect for history because I get it when it comes to the like that domino effect, you know?
Yeah, and people don't get it. I didn't get it until then. I was like, well, yeah, if if all that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
You might have not been here either. Or G. Rawson, we would not be having this conversation.
No, everything that took place before our conception was necessary. So
Yeah.
as long as we move towards a better society, outcome, all of those kinds of things, we'll all be the better for it, you know? Now, slowly but surely, we've been moving in that direction. Some people are more extreme than others. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't buy into the whole Green New Deal thing. I think it's a sham.
Well, I do
But
too. And but they're trying to push it on us. I think with this like thing in Ohio where they're not even like charging the the companies in Ohio because I don't know what they have. We they're like they can breathe air for free, so we have to charge them for it now. Um, I think that's what they're doing. I think they're like charging people for the air they're breathing
that
because
whole that whole Ohio situation is effed. Like, the more I look into that one and you learn about that chemical that was created because of that fire, that's considered, I forget, they have a term for that chemical, but it's damn near indestructible. And it's not biodegradable.
it is actually they can sue. They should sue the company for chemical warfare, and they could sue them under the shit. I can't. Oh gosh, I'm so drunk. But
But if but the
but
thing is,
they can sue them under the chemical warfare war. There's actually a war act where they can sue them,
Right.
and they should be able to do that. The company that did that to them, because the company that did that to them did not have to do that to them, because
No,
they did not have to do that, but because they own the world, so to speak, they own the banks. They're, they're the banks.
you're
But
talking about BlackRock and Vanguard,
there's a lot more people that owned stock in the railroad than that.
right?
There was like Chase Bank. There was like a lot of people that own the railroad, so they should be able to sue them for chemical warfare under the gosh, I can't think of it.
Is it in
Chat smart,
Geneva or another one?
yeah. Well, Geneva, yes, but chat smart. They'll be able to figure it out. Chat is good. I like chat,
Yes, sir.
but I don't know. I have to go. I love you guys though, and I fear about how much can change overnight now, because I went to sleep one night with talking to a friend, saying I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I'm never gonna talk to him again. And I went to sleep that night saying I'll talk to you tomorrow,
No,
and,
yeah.
and I can't. I really can't get over that. I really do not. I really don't know how to get over that.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
I feel about that about both you guys, because, but I I don't talk to both of you guys. I talk to you guys maybe once a week, but I talk to him more than,
Yeah.
yeah, every day. I still talk to him. I still talk to
Yep.
him. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I'm sorry.
No.
It's hard.
You know
Like,
what's funny? The last night it was about 2:30 in the morning, and I go on Foxhole to see who's on. I'm thinking to myself, normally, Leonard would be on right now, and Salty Nuts had went live,
yeah.
and I jumped in his chat, sent him a cookie, and he was like, "Hey, Black Yoda, I haven't talked to you in a while." And he was like, "Hey, if you're up to it, I'll send you a Zoom link if you want to, hang out, with me, talk some shit." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down for that." And so I was talking to him for a while, and it felt good. It felt reminiscent of like, me and Leonard.
I I still talk to him. I still talk to him every day.
Wow.
I talk to him every day. I I can't.
Hey, do you talk to Drew on a regular basis?
Yeah. Well, on the phone, but I talk to kind of, but yeah, I yeah.
So I would normally see Drew on Leonard's show, but does Drew have his own show?
No, he
Mm,
doesn't know how to do it.
He gets around a lot though.
Yeah, but Drew doesn't know how to make his own show.
got you.
We'll fix that
Um,
if he wants.
what? I've offered him help to do it,
I mean, he's a great guest everywhere he goes.
but I've sent him my phone number. He has not called me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if anybody knew how he was. I saw
I
him.
saw him.
Yeah.
I forget whose channel it was, but he looked like he was doing a lot better.
Yeah.
He is, but I've been talking to Uncle Krusty, Uncle Patriot, not Uncle Patriot.
Oh, I was just on Uncle Krusty's show the other night.
Not Uncle Krusty, Uncle Patriot.
Yeah.
But no, I did say Uncle Krusty because but it was Uncle Patriot I was talking to.
Right.
You know, watching the impact that Leonard had on everybody on the Foxhole is really astounding. I think Leonard would be flattered to know that. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah, but I think he'd be laughing too.
He would. Yeah.
I could almost hear him say, "Wow, you guys are a bunch of pussies."
Yeah. That's what I keep thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nah, he was a good
Yeah, he said that to me when he was alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could hear him say it too because I heard him say it before.
Nah, he was different. I liked him a lot.
He had a personality that I could get along with, but very well. Him and
Like, there's a lot of people I was looking forward to meeting, and he was one of them.
in real life, yeah.
There's a lot of you guys that I talked to on the Foxhole that I would love to just, hang out, have a beer with. You know what I mean? Do some barbecue.
We need a few more meetups going on. There was a lot going on for a while, but it's getting a little slow, I think, or maybe I'm just missing them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have to go to work tomorrow. I've already been busted by Kitty.
Norm,
but
get yourself to work. I got to do the same.
You guys have a good night. I love you.
Love you too, Norm.
Love you too, guy.
I'm going to say that. Sorry, I'm not being gay, but
No, we
No
get
homo.
it. We get it.
No, I'm glad you said it.
I was going to say that to everybody.
Yep, we have to.
Instead of I'll talk to you tomorrow. Which is
Right.
I said to Leonard, but he was a good guy. It just hit me really harder than, especially since I went to sleep and the next day and changed.
Yeah.
A day can change everything.
Yep.
And yeah.
Each day is a gift.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Love you, brother.
Have a good night. Okay.
All right. Good night.
My mouse is not.
Stephen.
Norm. G. Ross.
Yeah.
All right. Closing out. Let's see. It's going to be an interesting conversation next week. Hopefully, Pete Thaggy will be participating.
Yep.
Maybe even Dumpy will jump in. That'd be nice. I don't really have much to add to that. The last couple of weeks has been pretty. We've been trying to drag out the talking points, kind of say, So next week, looking forward to it.
Right.
And I'm glad that you called me that night, even though you said that you hesitated. No,
I did hesitate. I will confess. Yep.
For something like that, dude, definitely. I don't care if it's 3 a.m. Definitely call me.
I know. I confessed that I hesitated because I just was like, it's not easy to process these things. It's not easy to get the things done that need to get done. I needed to reach out to you. I half-assed it, and I'm glad you saw it and said, "Bro, come on, call me." You know, I was clearly avoiding it, and
I was
once-
shocked, just like you guys. Like,
yeah. But once I started telling you, I was like, okay, I had to do this.
dude, do you know Belushi podcasted for like 13, 14 hours?
I know.
And then still did the reggae
I know.
Sunday show.
He's a machine.
Oh man.
No, it's been a crazy adjustment, but it's not good.
He was definitely my go-to guy on the Night Owls.
Yep.
Or the night that I was in Night Owl mode, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw Salty last night and he invited me on the Zoom, somebody else jumped in and it pissed Salty off. He canceled the Zoom. And I was like, hey, on the chat, I was like, what happened? Now, at this point, it's just after 3:00. It's like 3:15.
Yep.
I get a phone call from Salty.
Right.
Dude, we must have been on the phone for like an hour.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But nah, we were just chopping it up, you know. But I haven't talked to Salty in a while. It's been a while. He still has that issue with his throat.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, no, not much on closing thoughts other than,
Fair.
you know, the same thing Norm was saying. I got a lot of love for you guys. I didn't even realize how much love I had for Leonard until this happened, you know? So just throwing that out there. And with that said, I'll see you guys next week.
Right on. And my closing is short. We'll do chapter 16 next week. Hope we do see Thaggy. And we may have to ask him a couple questions on 15 if we see him next week.
Okay.
But if we have time. But yeah, I don't have anything else. Love you, brother.
Back at you. Next week, chat.
Next week. Bye-bye. All right. Chat is lit up with stickers. Let me get the outro music going here. You know, I hate to draw it to an end, but it's got to be done. All right, let's release the scratching in. And look at that, 444 gold pills. What a nice number. Q the Hammer says, have a blessed rest of your evening and very blessed tomorrow, everyone. Serge Sparky is asking about goldback.com. Specifically wants to hear from Commander. Ballsy says, the Duppy Files. We'll get you something. We'll get you something from Professor Duppy. You know, there's a lot of content already out there. He's got more to do. Just talking with him about what, where, when. There will be some kind of thing from Professor Duppy. All right. Did anyone scratch off the scratching? You see, I already broke down. There we go. Everett Home is our first winner. So, Friday, 5:30 Central, here with Angular. Sunday, 11:15 p.m. Central. Funkalosophy. And with that, I'll play the real outro. I'll see you guys in Commander Sloan's chat, because you know I always go there after the show. See you there. Love you all. Thank you for spending time with us. We're joined on Fridays by co-host Angular. This has been G. Ross, and you are the underscore. Be sure to catch us on the foxhole.app, DLive, YouTube, or Facebook. Current shows include The Red Pill Weekly. You've been red pilled, now be the red pill. You're out of the oven and ready for delivery on our weekly alternative news roundup and call-in show on Foxhole, D-Live, YouTube, and Facebook every Friday at 5:30 p.m. Central, co-hosted by G. Ross and Angular. Current shows include Epistemology for Fun and Profit, where woo meets goo. You're in the woo, and the woo is in you. A philosophical call-in show with occasional guest interviews, diving into the oldest questions. Most episodes are exclusively on the Foxhole.app, Sunday at 11:30 p.m. Central. Current shows include 9dNation, the nation with no denomination. Declare to the custom agents any edible plants or miscellaneous worldviews. We take a look back at how we got here, eventually leading into a regular Wednesday night Bible study at 11 p.m. Central. Catch us on the Foxhole.app, D-Live, YouTube, and Facebook. Our Friday co-host is Angular. This has been G. Ross, and you are the underscore.